There's a problem here. It's been going on for some time now. I like the pain down deep inside, but it's found a way into my mind. And all of these easy to get pills will destroy me from the inside out. Check my brain wave, something's wrong with me. All my systems are out of frequency. Am I insane? Is something wrong with me? All my systems are no go. All my systems are no. Hey doc, did you figure it out? I think I gave you plenty of time, and I can tell you don't believe me by your condescending looks and failure to treat me. Check my brain wave, something's wrong with me. All my systems are out of frequency. Am I insane? Is something wrong with me? All my systems are no go. All my systems are no go. Something's wrong with me. All my systems are out of frequency. Check my brain wave. Something's wrong with me. All my systems are no go. All my systems are no I like turtles.
Oh, yeah. Starting the night off with a little Hollowell. I am the old wolf. You are dancing with wolves. Tonight's episode 89, coincidentally, Hollowell. They're a band that I've been talking about for several months now. They performed with us over at the WRFZ show at the House of Guitars October 7th. I've gotten to know Tyler and Teresa, and now I'm going to get to know John a little bit better because we got him hooked in. We know that he can actually hear me and I can hear him. But let me tell you, really cool band, great people, and it speaks within not only the dynamic of their music, but what they do in their lives. I'm going to let them talk about that in a few minutes. As always, the opinions, views, language, etc., expressed and sputtered outwards are mine and mine alone unless you choose to subscribe to it. Take what you need, leave the rest behind. Yeah, sometimes there's going to be language. Sometimes there'll be triggering items. You know what I mean? Sometimes a cat will jump across the room and somebody will have an issue with it. And just to get it out of the way, fuckity fuck. Hey, hi, Nani. Good to see you. As always, we are live, so this is one of the joys of live broadcasting without the FCC crawling up your ass. We're just going to have old school conversations. We're going to talk about whatever seems relevant. And we're going to talk about what they have going. Part of what I do is I try and promote others, bands, artists, poets, comedians, paranormal investigators, witches, vampires, and Brothers Chaos. I got a bunch of guys that I run with that do shows over at Rochester Free Radio, WRFZ. You can definitely check them out. As always, my mother is lurking in the shadows. She and I had a nice talk this morning. It is worth reminding myself that having these dynamics are a blessing, because she knows a lot more. And sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need that perspective on things. I see my sister Ayla, a.k.a. Me, Myself, and I. I have that track, the new one, so we are going to play it tonight. I fucked that up a week or two ago because I was just looking under the wrong email. I just have so much stuff going on now that I have to get better organized. So I'm working on that. Shy helps out a lot with that. I want to also make it a point to shout out a couple of things that are going on this weekend. Okay. One of which is going to be the Mythic Treasures Little Jamboree, Saturday, November 11th, over at Mythic Treasures. They don't actually have a promo for that, but I can tell you a little bit about it. Lily and Nona is going to be there, a.k.a. Diane and Nativia, and they got some really cool shit. I have a wolf pendant that they made me that it's got some serious magic. It's part of some of the beautiful things that they have created. Shy is going to be out there. She's going to be doing her witchy kind of things. Going to be some dancing with some witches. And we're going to be doing a lot more with them going into 2024 and through 2024. Beautiful place. Granny Gothronsi, she's going to be out there. Sue, who is pretty much, the heart and soul of the place, has been involved in this community here in Rochester, New York for some years now. So much love to you, Sue. Thank you for keeping it going. And I don't have a promo for them because my brother Bear was like, he doesn't need a promo, just talk about it. But I actually have my first official sponsor that is helping to do some of the things between this and the radio station. That would be Mary Jane's over on the Tonawanda Reservation, Bassam. Okay. The name says it all. Yeah, I'm talking about that stuff. Okay. For those of us who don't want to do opiates, who don't drink and stuff like that, Mother Nature's gift can be used responsibly. Or if you just want to do that fucking Cheech and Chong thing, you know what? You might as well go to the source. Avoid the fucking taxes. You're going to be dealing with people that know it better than anybody else. They were here first. Ironically, my brother Bear is the one guy who's helping me out, who actually can't take advantage of the tax-exempt status of the radio station because he doesn't pay fucking taxes. And I love him for it. They are beautiful people, him and his son. Sunshine, the rest of them, love you all. Thank you for your support. If you want to learn more about them, reach out to me, because my sister Diane found out where they are. And Rose, I'm doing good. And if you're sharing, and if I'm thinking, because we've had a little bit of this carryover, this is not Tara night. That I am Shaya's. I'm the figment of Shaya's imagination. I am the dark shadows under her bed. So on Tuesday nights, we come out here and we go fucking insane. Okay. And unfortunately, yeah, there isn't a lot of the Tara stuff, but you can come back tomorrow night, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The witch will be back. I'll be banished back to the fucking shadows. Okay. Have no fear. Okay. I'm not that scary. So if you know Shia, you'll be safe here. You're welcome to hang out. My sister Christine, Native Love, beautiful soul indeed. Haven't seen you around. I know you've been dancing with stuff. I hope you're holding up good. My sister Ayla, again, I know she's working on things. We're all working on things. I finally have a new track that's coming out. I see my sister Lee. Yeah, there you are, Lord Vader's wife. How's my brother Derek doing? What do you guys got going out there? I'm seeing all the cool people in the house tonight. So, yeah, it's a good night. Ah, there he is, my brother. Derek is definitely a cool cat. Great people. Check out this band. I don't know if you caught the opening track, but that was one of their tracks called Brainwave. I'm going to have them come on literally in a couple of minutes. They're fucking great. Great trio, power trio. Teresa's an awesome guitar player and a really, really solid vocalist. They have a great rhythm section, and they have, listen, when we hung out with them, and I sometimes you get to just call things for what they are. They had the kids out there. They were so engaged into the magic of it, the spirit of it, and stuff like that. Incredibly humble, beautiful, just so much fun to be around. And then, them performing, obviously, you can get a good idea for a band by the recorded music. Their music is good, but let me tell you, when you experience them live, yeah, it's like getting plugged in. I see Teresa's wife is hanging. It's good to talk to you again. I know you're on your way to number 3. So hopefully you're hanging in there, going easy. Tell Teresa to go to the store and get whatever munchy stuff you need. That's rule number 1, right? I remember that shit from the day. But it's a beautiful thing. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Children are the hope. They are the fucking future. They're worth all the insanity and the investment. Get all the money. Yeah, yes. But they really were a beautiful family. Really honored to have them be a part of our circles. I also want to shout out my brother, Doug Mack, Art for Sickos. He's going to be on next week. We're kind of doing this rotating thing. Hollowell's on the podcast tonight. We're going to do the fucking crazy interview tonight. And then we're going to have them on the radio show next Monday for the sanitized version that's acceptable for FM radio. But I've been playing them on the radio anyway. Anybody who follows me know they're one of my go-to bands, like Bonded by Darkness and others. I'm going to spread the love from some of the other bands, not only that I met over the weekend at the Rock Oddities. Shout out to my sister Jem, who's already working for 2024. Let me tell you, my sister's, she's got fucking energy, man. Energy and just this incredible commitment to making magic happen. And she's starting to come into her own. She's been juggling a lot of stuff. And let me tell you, once she comes out of some of this stuff, there's going to be no fucking stopping her. Really, really. I'm so blown away and honored to be a part of it. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm just going to be like, you go, girl. A lot of great people. My brother Ed Contini's out there somewhere in the Contini context. There's some chaos going on. I know there's some fucking chaos going on. Or Diane's fucking yelling at him, telling him to do something. Go get that, Ed. I told you to fucking do that. Come on, Ed. You know what you got to do. Take care of that. Either that or Daisy's walking around farting and Walker's following behind, eating whatever's left behind. These are the Sunday fun days that I look so forward to every fucking week. But yes, as I was mentioning also, Saturday, November 11th, not only do we have the Mystical Gateways, Mythic Treasures Fair, that'll be 12 to 7 over at the Tops Plaza in Henrietta, but we've got my brother Brian Judah and his band Days End. They're going to be performing with Dragonfly that night, 9 p.m., over at Pineapple Jack's. So, a lot of really, really cool things going on that Saturday. We'll be at both. So, you want to come hang with the Witches and the Wolves and the Judas, Otivia. You want to hang out with Captain Chaos, the Contini Context, the man, the myth, the legend. Yeah, come on out. So, in supporting some of my brothers and sisters out there with other bands, I've mentioned this band. My brother James Manny, he's also the guitar player for another band that Brian Judah is in called Dangerous Beauty with Jane Evil and Brad Lee. Really great people. But Manny also plays in another band, a little bit closer out into the 518 zip, little band called Eyes of Odin. And this is their new track called Under My Skin. So we're going to We're going to pop that, let that run. I'm going to go get Teresa and the rest of Hollowell on the line, and we're going to let the fucking dancing begin. So sit back, enjoy a little bit of new music from the Eyes of Odin.
What if I'm not perfect?
So yeah, that was a little bit of Eyes of Odin, their new track, Under My Skin. You can check them out online, social media, all the groovy places. I have the band. I got Tyler, I got Teresa, and I got John. They set themselves up a rig. They are fully headphoned and mic'd up. Guys, welcome to Dancing with Wolves. We've hung out before already, but this kind of makes it official. You guys you're on the fucking show, so get the fucks out of the way and have your fucks, because...
Oh, what the fuck, man? Thanks for having us.
This is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Fucking loving it.
It's always nice to just squeeze that out and just be like, hey, FCC, fuck you.
Hey, but also this is the way I talk, so it's kind of nice where I don't have to be like, don't say that.
Well, listen,
You know?
I hung out with you and your kids and stuff. You don't use the same language, obviously, when you're around your children. I'm sure there are moments, you know what I mean? Let's be honest, that it comes out, it slips out. But you and your wife, you were very much focused on the dynamic of family. We had talked about it. You really appreciate the fact that your kids could actually come out and see the show, participate, be a part of it without having to worry about the drunken stupidity or, you know, any of the other shit that we all know we have to contend with playing in any of the clubs or bars around here. It's not a place you're going to want to bring your fucking kids into. So it's nice to have that element. So let's talk about first thing. We got December 5th for those of you at home watching and not just listening. Hollowell is going to be with the Interloop blog Tuesday, December 5th over at the Iron Smoke Distillery. And that's a really neat thing. You guys got a comedy thing, and then you guys are doing the music. How did that happen?
Take it away, John.
Yeah, so I'm a writer for the Interloop blog. I've been working with Shane Allen for a few years now, and we got a great lineup of comedians playing at Iron Smoke, and then we're going to finish it off with some amazing tunes by Hollowell. It's kind of a hybrid show, obviously, but we're excited to do it. I think it's going to be a really interesting experience.
It's a fucking great idea, man. It is so natural. I mean, again, it's that energy dynamic, you know, music, magic, comedy, all these things, they go hand in hand if you put them together, if you take the time. Obviously, there has to be, you know, a little bit of correlation, but you're the hinge in there because you're tied to both worlds, obviously.
Absolutely, and we definitely have some surprises in our music lineup that I think some people might find interesting.
That's some fucking bait there. You're like, hey, take it. You want?
I do like to hand out the bait. Let me tell you, I do.
So give everybody a taste, man. You know, you can't be talking that. Yeah. Give us a little bit. What we talking about?
You'll get the taste at Iron Smoke December 5th. $5 at the door.
He's like, fuck that, man. You're paying.
See me.
No, but well played. Listen, that is the narrative. You know, we want to get people out. And listen, let's be really, really blunt about it. You know, this day and age, to go to any type of show, you know, usually you're paying at least 3 or 4 times. You guys are, you know, that's a $10 show to get a bunch of comedians, and what I already know is a powerful fucking band. You know, I've seen you guys play. I've listened to your tracks. You know what I mean? It wasn't like you guys just, you know, showed up and like, hi, here, we're new. You know what I mean? You guys you've been doing this for a little while. This is not your first rodeo.
Yeah, for a little bit, for sure.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
Just to clarify, I mean, it's $10 at the door, but I want people to pay me an extra $5. Just me specifically. That's what I was
all right. So that's where some of the cheddar is going to come from. John, you're going to be providing some extra services at this show.
That's right. I take care of the people in more ways than you can imagine.
Yes. See, this is comedy for you people at home who maybe are becoming triggered in the moment. Okay, when we talk about these things. Well, no, listen, I mean, ironically, I don't think you're going to send John up there all dressed up to blow somebody. I mean, don't get me wrong, $20 is still $20, so we're all adults
he's
here.
He's probably going to be all dressed up, though.
Right.
Now, Wolf, you know.
Right. Shy is like, she's going to bring Monopoly money. She wants to know what the currency exchange on it.
Oh, I want pink 50s. I want those pink 50s. They're going to be in my G-string up on stage. Absolutely.
Oh, nice. Yeah, listen.
Gotta wear his Kimberly wig, though.
Oh, dude, you're
tell people about that. Oh my God.
You're going to do the sweet transsexual from Transylvania kind of thing, huh? But this is good. You know what I mean? In many ways, the things that tend to twist people up, when you can frame them comedically, you see where I'm going, it changes the dynamic. It changes the energy around it, because not everything is so cut and dry that just because, hey, you make a joke about this or that, it doesn't necessarily have to reflect anything, than the moment, than the comedic element. A lot of people get spun out and then they start going into these extreme kind of, and it's just like, no, we're trying to bring a different element to it. And I've noticed that with your music as well. And you guys talked about this on Judah's show about how it really just reflects the magic for you guys. I mean, obviously you started off as a bigger band and then you shaped it down, and I heard the story of how it became the Power Trio, but there's a definitive love for what you guys do. You know what I mean? This isn't like an image thing, like you guys are Kiss, look at us. You guys are just like, hey, here it is. And you throw it out there like that when you perform.
Yeah, we are who we are. I know it's a very natural experience for us. Like I've never felt more comfortable than when I'm on stage with Tyler and Teresa. It feels like home when I get the chance to perform with them. So,
and stylistically too, I think like I don't think we shoot down anything that kind of comes up. I mean, literally, John showed us something tonight that was a bit more like hip hop feeling, right?
Yeah, like electronic.
And we'll take that and roll with it and twist it and turn it until it spits out something that we like, and it is what, it'll sound like us because it's still the three of us.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's just reflective of a moment. It can be comedic, it can be serious, it can be this or that. But you guys, I guess maybe a better way to put it, you're not constraining yourselves to a particular, because it's like on the ad, it's like Power Trio, alternative rock band. You know what I mean? It's just like, nah, man, they're a power trio for sure. But sometimes labels like alternative, you know what I'm saying, or metal, and these things tend to try and paint us into this particular category. And I've noticed you have a lot of different musical influences that you all bring to the table.
For sure. Labels have definitely been restricting. It's hard for us to describe.
Yeah, we always ask people, what do you think of us?
Because we kind of hover around a bunch of different genres, varying labels. So,
well, you had mentioned that you had also, too, Tyler, you had taken a couple different angles from the music. Teresa, you talked about it also as a guitar player. How about you, John? I mean, is there a common element in the way you guys came up through music versus what it's become obviously now for you?
For me? Yeah. I mean, my dad had a large influence. Like when I spoke about it on Judah's show, I talked about my dad and his influence on me. But yeah, I mean, I discovered bands like anybody else growing up, and they've heavily influenced my style and how I play and what I aspire to be as a musician. So,
are there any common elements, like you guys would point and say, hey, Iron Maiden's second album, you all have that in common? Or is it literally you all are just bringing from your individual elements?
I mean, a bit of both, right? We have a lot of overlap when it comes to certain bands we like or artists.
It's like Deftones, Incubus is probably a big one too. Machine. Yeah, we have a lot of overlapping, but we definitely we're constantly, I think, at least my horizons are being spread out a bit by the two of them. Right? They check out this band that never heard before.
What about Spirit Box? Right? Like I heard them once, right? And then I kind of was like, hey,
and I was hooked.
And now you guys listen to them more than I do, I think.
Yeah. So, like all I listen to lately is Spirit Box.
Yeah, it's like what all I listen to at work these days.
Yeah, and listen, that's the best way to approach it, because there's always different elements that will just come into play. Sometimes you may not use them. They may lead into other things. That's one of the things that I have tried to do, especially over these last 5 or 6 years, is just really try and explore some of the newer dynamics, which sometimes it's hard. You get caught into the groove of things, and especially, Teresa, for you, you've got kids and, the whole family dynamic. So how do you find, for you at least, what works best in juggling those two worlds?
Music and family?
Yeah.
Well, family comes first. but also I'm here. So like we usually do practice once a week. So it's at least a weekly practice, the three of us as a band. And if I get time, during the day, if I'm with my son or, because he's not in school yet, he's just in preschool. So if I have him, sometimes I have a guitar essentially on every level of the house. So that way,
you got them stashed strategically through the place.
I do. Like I've got one in the room, our bedroom. We've got two in the living room, and then I've got a bunch in the basement where like I have my little office where I record some of my stuff. And so like sometimes, if I'm with the kids, I'll go downstairs with them and, I'll just kind of jam a little bit. Like this morning before my wife went to work, I had my son play on the electronic drum kit because like he just kind of has this, you could just kind of tell he's got like the natural ability to drum.
Oh, listen, yeah, because children are going to reflect the energy. You guys are creating that magical aspect with music, and it's inevitable, and that's beautiful that you guys can now, and you're going to see that as they start to get older. That is what happened with me and my son, and he ended up coming out and doing shows with us and becoming not only, my rhythm guitar player, but he helps me now write a lot of the music that I do, and it's so beautiful when you can bring those two elements together, because again, you guys aren't doing any of the crazy touring. You all talk very openly and honestly about not wanting to go that far down the rabbit hole per se, but you want to do shows because you want to maintain that balance, which, again, is not easy to do with the nature of the music scene, because you have to get out there, and Teresa, you're always, I see you, promoting and marketing, you're doing that organic stuff, and I see all of you doing it, but it's a lot. You guys do all of it yourselves.
Yeah, including us, Tyler, for the most part, got us set up down here to be able to be independently mic'd and independently headphones so we can have this conversation tonight. And I mean,
not to mention all of the mixing, mastering, recording of every component.
Our whole album is recorded.
Oh, dude, great work. Seriously, you really got some nice mastering going there. And that's just one engineer to another, man. I know the nuances of that shit. I'm still working my way through the learning curve with the tech and the gear that I had. And there's no amount of bullshit around it. You have to have a fucking ear. You know what I'm talking about. You have to be able to hear the subtleties, and you have really nice balancing in your tracks.
Thanks. Yeah, the old stuff is definitely a learning experience doing the first, EP, but I think this new stuff, it's going to be a lot different sounding. I think a lot better, actually, in my opinion. But
well, listen, this is the story of any good band. The first recordings. You know what I mean. You especially now with the tech and stuff. There's so much that you have to factor into it that it takes time. You know what I mean? It's like learning to cook. Sometimes you're going to have to burn it a little bit to figure out, all right, well, I don't want to fucking run it at this thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's been times where I'd be like, this is turning out great. And then I go listen the next day. I go, go back to the swear one.
Listen, you guys are the same as any, I think, honest musicians. We're always our worst enemies. Shia will tell you, I've been struggling for the past year to release a fucking track that I literally remastered probably 20 times now. Every time I go back to it, I hear something like, I can do that better. And I'll just go back and just re-record the fucking thing. Teresa, we were joking about it, with just the subtle nuances of sound. You know what I mean? You know what the sound that you want, you know what I mean? You have it. It's part of you. So it's always that constant struggle, especially if you're doing like an outdoor show or you got somebody doing sound that's, not quite there or doesn't have a fucking ear, you know what I mean? Which is always just infuriating. But, what do? You go on and you make the best of it. But when you get into the studio, it's just like, we control everything now.
Yeah. So
it's definitely a process. Yeah, for sure.
It's good and bad because that if we went to a studio, we probably could have had this all done, right? All of it done, mixed, mastered, released. We're good to go. But that would have cost
Yeah, we'd be poor.
Substantial money.
Oh, it's fucking ridiculous. That's part of why I started doing it.
We'd be poor and unhappy
Right.
because it'd be something we didn't like about it that we couldn't fix because it cost another $2,000 or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to talk to them.
Don't even get me started. Yeah. And there's not a lot, most of the Rochester scene, I used to be a part of the Jersey Shore scene, and there were rehearsal places all over the place that you could just go to whenever you wanted. You literally have to build your own shit out here. There's really nothing, to be able to.
There are some, but there's not
a lot, man.
Not a good reputation for those places.
Right.
Well, we don't even include those in the mix because that's just like saying, well, here, have a dog shit milkshake. You know what I mean? Just I ain't fucking drinking that, man. It's just why are you even trying? And I know what you're talking about. It's just these rundown places with no security. They're like, hey, yeah, bring all your expensive equipment in here. It'll be safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and there's a nice thing about having a home base where you could even our practices, we protect our ears pretty well, so we use headphones, and to do that, we just mic everything up all the time. So you can't go a place and have that set up all the time.
Right.
Yep. No doubt. And especially with the nature of how some of the venues around here are, you are literally locked into whoever's doing sound in a particular place. You know what I mean? I know a couple guys that'll drag their own stuff out there, but even then you're still dealing with, all right, how are the acoustics here? How's the electrical? Can we angle and, power things through? So it's a lot of extra effort for not a lot of return. Again, unless somebody's bankrolling you, and, that ain't happening out here or any place else where local music is going on. It is the nature of the commercial industry. Let me ask you something. In regards to the new release that you guys have coming out, and I know you guys are releasing it as an EP, are you guys going to continue with doing your own recording, or are you eventually going to look to even just going to an independent label? Are you looking to to bridge it, or do you want to really just keep it organic and keep it under your control?
That's a good question.
Yeah, keep it under our control is the best. I think the artist should always have its creative, our creative rights should always be ours. It's ours. As far as, I don't know, as far as an independent label, I guess it all would depend on what is it that they're offering and what are we expected to provide in return. Because at this point, I guess Tyler would have to chime in, but I think we've almost gotten this down to such a science where it's almost like a recipe now, where we know we have the ingredients, we know exactly the right temperature to cook it at, and we're hoping that could continue to produce, even better recordings going forward. So after we release, I guess, this album, we would probably do some EPs or singles after this, and it would just still be from us, basically.
And just keep it within, the smaller mid-scale, circles. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think you guys are more than capable of doing, bigger shows and venues and stuff like that. Is there really any desire on your guys' part to want to, because what happens once you cross a particular line and you start doing these things, it tends to suck up a lot of the time and energy chasing it all around.
Yeah. So we recently had a conversation, Teresa and I, and we were talking about if we wanted to get signed at some point, because I think at one point we were we distanced ourselves from that.
Yeah.
It wasn't something we were really interested in. However, as we've continued to grow and move, we've decided that maybe that might be a possibility depending upon what that actually entails, and as long as we get to hold on to our individual creative rights, because that's really important to us. But I'm sure that's up for the egghead legal mumbo jumbo.
Yes, the red tape. Well, one of the trends I've seen, and some bands are starting to create their own labels. The technology curve now has reached a point that, just like what you guys are doing, if you can get a good master, reproduction and, that type of stuff really isn't that expensive if you do it on a modest volume type of thing. Obviously, you know, trying to make 100 CD copies is always going to be more expensive than doing 1,000 or 2,000. But also in the same narrative, the types of things that are driving music. And Teresa made a really great statement. You know, the nature of how people experience music is changing as technology changes. We go through the same struggle over on the FM station because people don't listen to FM radio as much anymore because A, it's restricted in its content, and B, because, you know, how many people are actually cruising around in their car listening to the FM. They're listening to Sirius, they're listening to CDs, they've got their MP3, their phones connected, and they're listening to their Spotify mixes. So how music is being transferred, how it is being put out there, has evolved now. So most of the dynamics of what the record companies, quote unquote, used to represent, they almost don't really fucking matter anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, what are they going to do that's any different than what you guys are doing now? Putting it out through social media, by word of mouth, by just basically putting out something good and saying, here it is. It's free. Try it. If you like it, here's some more.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense why a lot of people, you know, nowadays, maybe they release an EP. There aren't as many like album people anymore.
No, I mean, even Spirit Box, they just dropped an EP.
Which is what, 6 songs?
It's like 6 songs.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to get the song that people are going to add to their TikTok video or their Instagram story, you know, and
more about the
different
playlist, the single songs. They're all about what am I feeling today, and what playlist can I put this on?
At least the younger generation, right? Yes. I mean, like older folks. Oh, I guess we're getting a bit old, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well, listen, you're talking to an old fucking wolf. So, but
you're like 30. You're 30. Right?
Yeah. Thanks. Well, maybe in fucking wolf years, but but listen, you're not wrong. This is the simple truth, and I talk about this all the time. One of the biggest mistakes we make when we get older is we forget our connections with the younger generations. We were that, you know what I mean? We lose that perspective. We lose the magic. We lose the creativity. It almost becomes a kind of fucking apathy in some way, you know what I mean? But it is true. So you have to work within that, because a lot of people, you know, like my age, I know a lot of guys that are still out there and they're performing. I'm still younger than the guys in Metallica, but I also know a lot of people my age. They don't want to get off their fucking couch. They don't want to go out and deal with this shit. They're like, oh, that's childish. You know what I mean? And they're just sitting around waiting to fucking die. So it's just like...
That's cool while we're out on the weekends playing shows.
Right. But,
you know, having a great time. So
you have to cross the line. So you have to look at it from what's driving the narrative. And obviously, more younger people are going out to shows, because that's what the club owners and everybody, we all know, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for people to come into the place.
Cha-ching.
So you have to, you know, but that's the simple truth. It's the pay to play model. So if you're bringing in people who are actually going to come out and enjoy the shows, you're doing good. And we all know there are a lot of bands that are really all that great, but they can draw people because they got somebody that can engage and, you know, get a bunch of, you know, drunk rednecks spinning around in fucking circles and stuff. And it's just like, hey, you know what I mean? And nobody thinks otherwise. But within the framework of the local music scenes, we only have a few places that you can really do these kind of shows.
Yeah, I think that's why I really like the the sort of like day festival thing that you put together, because like people that normally wouldn't come to see me because they have kids and whatnot came out. You can get some of those slightly older people that wouldn't want to come out to a show that your band doesn't go until like 10:30. You know, I don't blame them. I don't either. If I didn't have plans that night, I'd be in bed probably.
Yeah, right.
If we weren't playing, I wouldn't be out in state. I wouldn't be out at 10:30 at night. My kids go to bed at like 8:00, so like, I'm in bed too.
So I mean, listen, it's an honest narrative, but also, you know, the same analogy what you guys are doing over at the Iron Smoke, pairing it with comedy, I think it's the same type of magic. You're creating now multiple elements with the laughter and the music. So, you know, again, people who maybe wouldn't necessarily have come out to see a band they'll come out for a comedy show and then they get to hear a really good band, and vice versa. People who maybe wouldn't necessarily come out for a comedy show, they're going to come out for you guys and for the type of music that you do. And then, hey, maybe they, Izzy makes them fucking laugh. You know what I mean? Now all of a sudden you created a correlation between both ends of that spectrum. It's the same thing what we were trying to do at the House of Guitars and what we're going to do at the Rock and Oddities show next year. It's just bring a bunch of different elements together to create, kind of like what they do with the Lilac Festival and the Fringe Fest. And these are both good working models here in Rochester to get people engaged, get them coming out, having a good time. And obviously, bands get their music to be heard in a live scenario.
Yeah, cross-promotional stuff is not done enough, honestly, in my opinion. Yeah. I mean, the amount of, really great, I will say great, cover bands that we have around Rochester, we have quite a lot of them. But, how many times do you see them being paired up with other original bands?
Never.
Right. I mean, on occasion, I think we got asked to play with, a Blink-182 our tribute band, that sort of thing. Yeah. But, it's stuff like that and comedy and any other acts like that. I think that's a great concept.
Well, I mean, it's easy. We all know that it's easy to kind of just get caught in your own little bubble of things. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You guys are actually engaging at different levels from different angles and stuff. So you see it for what it is. And you also, let's be honest, you have initiative and you have the mentality to see it and say, oh, yeah, this is actually better. This makes sense. It's a win-win scenario. Strength in numbers, all those groovy things. Teresa, you were going to say something?
It was just going to be about comedy and basically we're the three of us are really goofy. So I mean, we've got some recorded stuff like bloopers from our album that we're not very serious, even though sometimes on stage we look serious.
Oh, you should definitely float me some of that shit. I'll have fun with that.
We are very silly. That's why we're really excited to be on the show, because we can actually sort of show that where we don't usually get to do that.
Not have to worry about it getting shut down.
Yeah, we were just excited to be able to be okay, people can actually see we're silly. We have a sense of humor. We like to mess around. So the comedy thing, just when John told us about that, we were just holy shit, this is amazing.
Now, listen, I'm going to be honest. I am probably not going to do a podcast that night, so I can come down and actually hang out and check that out.
Yeah.
Dude, you should do a live podcast from the show.
You know what? If you guys, whoever runs things over there, if you want to pass the information on, I'm totally open-minded to it. I would love an opportunity to bring something different, because like you, I believe that those things go hand in hand. Music and laughter are just two incredibly powerful, beautiful dynamics. So when you can really focus them, what better? I mean, it's just the best of fucking times. I mean, how do you even put it in words? It's like it's like that first time you have an ice cream sundae, you know what I mean? And you're just like, wow, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, you're just surprised by the loveliness. And I mean, it's just amazing. They're going to prime us for, everybody's going to feel good. They've been laughing, it's just going to be primed for everybody to be in a great mood and just feel good. And then they get to hear some music, and, it's just a bunch of artists in one room. The comedians are artists, musicians are artists. It's just all of us together creating this fun environment. And I'm so excited to see what this sort of does for the future as well.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, again, humbly as well too. Obviously you guys are doing it on an off night, which, let's be blunt, that's a little bit, risky in any of these clubs to get people to come out on a fucking weeknight. You know what I mean? To do anything.
Yeah, and to that point, Wolf, honestly, we really think we can draw a big crowd here. And if we can do it on a Tuesday night, we can do it any night.
Oh, listen, dude, if you guys can pull this off for a Tuesday night, that's going to fucking scream against all the bullshit narratives about how it supposedly works out there, which again, part of the reason I'm just like, you know what? It's my fucking show. I'm just, I don't think I'm going to do a show that Tuesday night because I'd rather be down there and check this out. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm going to make it official unless I'm going to. And you know what? I don't think that this would be the one to broadcast live for a very specific reason. John, you hit this on the head. You need to fucking come out here to experience this.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say you didn't want to broadcast it because of all the pink 50s in my G-string.
Well, no, but listen, we can do that as a separate show, man. I mean, that.
Well, we can. I got a whole
after hours.
Yes.
There's a back room around.
But no, seriously, I think this is something, and you were really dead on with that. We need to create these environments for people to come out. You know, again, it's not like it's, you know, fucking in the dead of night. You know, doors open at 6:30, so I'm assuming it's going to start around 7. You know what I mean? It's not like it's unrealistic. You know what I mean? To draw people out, especially, you know, within the narratives between college and, you know, even within, you know, working class folks like us and stuff like that, you still can get home in a reasonable time and have a good time. You know what I mean? And it's a good place. You know, it's not like you're going to some shithole downtown. You know, let's be honest. You know, the Iron Smoke is one of
parking.
Right. You know, it's one of the nicer places around.
Shots fired.
Yeah, boom. Yes. Yes, like here, just we're gonna let the Kia boys park your car and you know what I mean?
That's a good concept, we're gonna park your car, you just won't get it back.
Right.
Don't worry about it. Give me your keys.
Yeah.
But listen, we're going to be honest, that's what people are fucking thinking these days. You know what I mean? Listen, fucking Judah had his Kia stolen out of the radio station parking lot in broad fucking daylight. You know what I mean? They didn't give a fuck. They just rolled up, smiled at the camera like, ha, fuck you. Did what they did. There were people walking around. I mean, this is the insanity. You know, and we were looking at the video, and there's just people just walking down the street like, hey, nothing to see here. Nobody wants to get in fucking ball.
Occurrence in Rochester, just Kia's been stolen.
Right.
During, what is it, noon? Okay.
And listen, we're becoming conditioned to it. We're just like, yeah, it's the Kia boys again. You know, it's like.
They're even sending out fucking flyers. I have a Hyundai, so they're like, hey, you know, just so you know, your car might get stolen.
they're also
I just want to give you a heads up.
Yeah.
Can't do shit about it, but we fucked up. Who cares?
Yeah,
it's on you now.
They're participating in the elections now. You know, it's election day. The vote for Kia Boys is a vote for America. So make sure you vote for your.
Now I can get with that. Listen, I talk about this a lot. I'm from the George Carlin school. I don't believe any of them give a shit about any of us. I think it's been a big fucking pile of just corruption and stupidity and just all these horrible things. And they frame the fear things. They're like, hey, let's worry about who's fucking who so we can fuck you when you're not paying attention. And that's what it really is most of the time. Or it's some other twisted narrative behind, you know, religion or politics. And they're all just like a bunch of, it's like, you'll appreciate this when you get to the point where you show your kids Madagascar and you have the monkey flinging shit scene. You know what I mean? Which is, I love when, you know, comedy imitates life. You know what I mean? Especially with the borderline cartoons. That's what I always loved about Ren and Stimpy. Because kids would sit there and laugh. And it's like, ha, isn't that funny? But you knew the underlying social narrative was just completely fucked up. Like these guys' minds were definitely like, we have to be as off the wall as we can, but not let them figure out what it is that we're doing. And some of that, again, just it carries over into everything around us. I mean, I know you get this because you're, you know, raising young children now. You know, I'm lucky in the context that, you know, my son's a little bit older, so I don't have to worry about it. But especially when you look at some of the things that people focus on, it's just like, why don't we just go to a comedy show and just laugh and listen to music and not fucking deal with any of this other stupidity? Because it really is just that simple.
Yep. And also, like, yeah, it's on a Tuesday, but like, give me a reason to get out of the house. Like, give me a good reason to go somewhere and have a good time, because otherwise I'm probably just going to stay home, you know?
Listen, again, I don't know any of these comedians. John, this would be your cue to promote some of these characters. Cue it up, man. We got Shane Allen. Sure. Start with Shane Allen. He's the one at the top of your featured comics.
Yes, Shane Allen, current head of the Inner Loop blog. He does a great job. He has a great set. I've seen him a few times. He used to be on the radio here in Rochester as well, on the Zone. But he's a great comedian. Izzy, oh my gosh, Izzy. He's kind of an upstart comedian, but my God, is he so funny. This guy, he is outrageous, and everyone knows it. I can't wait to see him, to be honest with you. I've heard so many good things about Izzy. Benjamin Wolf, this is where the connection between the music and the comedy really comes together here. He is actually a musician comedian. So he incorporates both elements into his act.
Very nice.
So that's also something I'm really interested in seeing. Unfortunately, I don't know too much about the other three comedians, but I'm sure they have really great acts, and I am very much looking forward to seeing them perform.
So let me ask you the obvious publicity questions here.
Okay.
How in the spectrum of comedy, you know what I mean? You've got, Mr. Rogers comedy, and then we'll say the other end of the spectrum is full on drunk Sam Kinison type of comedy. So where in the spectrum, like, how many fucks are we going to have? Are they going to go down some deep things? We're going to have some challenging moments where a couple of Karens may lose their fucking minds. And
I hope so.
Okay, you're hoping for that too? Yes.
I hope there's a Karen or two there. Let's start with that.
I assure you will be in for a great comedic experience.
Okay, so this interlude, they're on the edge. They're on the edge of your end.
I'm gonna play with you or something. Like, no, this isn't.
Yeah, Shy, like there's going to be no smashing watermelons type of bullshit. None of that.
Probably not.
No Gallagher. Sorry.
I don't know.
Small melon.
No, but they're all great comedians. They're not afraid to push boundaries, I'm sure.
Well, listen, we all know that there's certain boundaries that have to maintain. And full disclaimer, I think it's safe to say nobody's going to go up there and do a Louis C.K. and just pull their dick out on stage or anything. You know what I mean? That's really just gonna
questionable. I guess it depends on how.
Have you been to one of our shows, Wolf?
Okay. Yeah. Well, listen, I was there in the daylight with the kids and stuff, so obviously I didn't.
I know it is hard to see.
I didn't have any No, man, I had zero expectation that shit was going to happen. I know Teresa well enough to know, and getting to know her wife, somebody would have gotten their fucking ass kicked for sure. I know that those boundary lines exist. Sure. You know what I mean? And comedy is good in particular context moments, but you have to be able to read the room. You're not going to do the same shit with a group of fucking 7-year-olds that you would like amongst us, where, I wouldn't give a shit if John came running out in a fucking pink Speedo with, Monopoly money hanging out of his ass. I'd be like, hey, that's good. It's good fucking comedy, man. Just like, okay, yeah, it's entertaining.
Everybody knows what John's doing.
Yeah, what the hell?
Well, I mean, you kind of, you kind of gave it away. I mean, as soon as you start talking Monopoly money and G-string, man, you knew it was going to get fucking weird.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I was thinking I was going to match them just like the Red Hot Chili Peppers and wear a sock.
I haven't decided what I'm doing.
Perfect. Yeah, no, it's going to be a great show. I have no doubt about that. Seeing the lineup we have here, it's going to be awesome. I was at a comedy show once, though, where a fight almost did break out, believe it or not, and it was pretty ridiculous.
I've seen some of those types of things. You get the wrong person, especially in this day and age, because sometimes, good comedy will engage the audience. And a lot of times, especially if you're dancing like on that edgier end, like a Bill Barr maybe, or somebody, you know what I mean, who kind of really looks for that, you know what I mean? And then you challenge somebody, and then the fucking ego just goes absolutely berserk. You know what I'm saying? And then now you're just, it's a proverbial Karen scenario. Somebody's literally having a fucking, a meltdown.
He's got that great joke about the cruise ship people. Did you ever hear that one?
No. Listen, I've checked him on again, off again over the years. I like some of his stuff. Some of it obviously caters to certain dynamics. So, for me, I was a tough Irish guy routine. It's kind of like, all right, yeah, no, I get that. I grew up with that. You know what I mean? I understand it. You know what I mean? And I get it. There's a lot of guys out there that are completely disillusioned. They're like, we don't rule the world anymore. We can't pull our dicks out anymore. What the fuck's going on? And, and then about 30 seconds later, I don't feel bad anymore, because I'm just like, I'm tired of some of the stupidity. Because there is a little bit of that fine line between obviously what is comedy and then what just becomes shit disguised. You know what I mean? When you're just really, you're going to pick on a point just because it's a low hanging fruit. You know, that's like why I fucking hate Roseanne Barr now. She's just like, somebody has to give her fucking meds or something, because she's like on a constant drunk bender and just talking crazy shit. And it's not even funny. You know what I mean? It's just, I didn't even know she was still around. I
didn't even know she was.
I just remember her the show. Didn't she have a slingshot and like sing or something? I don't
know. It periodically pops up and it's just like a picture of her with her mouth open and she said something fucking stupid again. And I can't keep, the only thing that I know for sure, it's
emotional damage.
You know what I mean? And it really is. It's fucking emotional damage. It's all it is.
Oh, bro, we almost used that soundbite in Brainwave.
It came really close. That's a great one.
It was that.
I love that you had that queued up, by the way.
Amazing. Great.
Yeah, no, that was a gift from Shia. Shia heard it. She's like, this would just be such a great trigger button. And then just one day, it was on my board. And I just looked at it, and all it says is emotional. So me, like the fucking wolf that I am, I'm like, oh, look, the big shiny red button. I must push it. And it's like emotional damage. And I was just like, aha. But listen, these are things that, especially when we're dealing with everything else that goes on, a little bit of laughter, a little bit of love, a little bit of that nice, energizing groove. You know what I mean? It can make the difference, between a shitty day and a not so shitty day.
Oh, definitely.
And I also sort of feel like that's how the show's going to be, is like super energizing. I have a sneaky suspicion that I'm going to have a really hard time falling asleep that night, because I'm going to be so energized from the room.
Yeah.
You're going to have, like you said, you're going to have the fun, the comedy, the laughter, the love, because you have some of the love with some of our music and some of the fun with our music, and we'll be a little bit silly, it'll be a little bit serious, but like you'll get all the feels that night. So if anybody's like me, and for the most part, sometimes you just numb.
Most of us
you
are
don't
like
feel
that.
Anything,
Every time I perform, every time I do a show, Shia will tell you, I'll be up tonight till probably 2:30 in the morning, just coming off the tail end of everything. Yep. And don't get me wrong, I love it. I do it because I believe in it. But it is the natural side effect. Same thing happens to me when I perform. I go up there, even if I only perform for 45 minutes, I will have hours of the carryover. Just, it's like plugging into a big generator. You charge up and then you flow with the charge until it burns out. And then hopefully you find some place you can fall the fuck down and just reset.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm hoping that night will be, because I know it will.
Yeah.
But it'll just recharge me and give me that little boost I need till the end of the year.
Yes. Well, as per Shia, we have a button for what you're describing.
I was gonna have to run the drum kit for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well that was my stupidity. I went to push the one button, but my fingers are, as a guitar player, I tend to look for the edge of the fret. So instead of it was just one of those weird little moments. I do a little bit of keyboard piano stuff, but I always go back to guitar phrasing. So it's very difficult for me sometimes to do some of these other little things, because that's what I've done for so long that some of it is it's muscle reflex. So, I know what a G chord on the piano is, but my brain is like, no, your fingers go there. And it's just, the translation doesn't always fucking compute. So it's the same thing with the board. Shia's got all these little buttons programmed. You know what I mean? So I go to press one and, something else comes out. And it just happens like that.
I hear her in the background.
We heard her in the background.
Yep. Yeah.
So listen, I'm going to queue up one of your tracks. This one is Don't Care. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about where this particular track was born?
Okay. Yeah. It's funny how it feels like so long ago now that we did this.
How long has it been?
Oh my gosh.
Wait, we wrote that back in what? 17?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Maybe a little bit. No, maybe it's a little bit later than that. 2019, maybe. I don't know.
The song, it's difficult to describe, but it was kind of inspired by feeling inadequate and not caring about where you are in life, but you want to be more, but you're still stuck and you don't care enough about trying to improve yourself or become more than where you are. So it was trying to put that into words and into music and trying to sort of overcome that through the song.
Because I definitely hear the Rage Against the Machine element in that track.
Yeah,
Especially
it was heavily inspired.
The way, Teresa, the way you sing it, especially, there's that underlying edge to it. Like you're channeling it.
Are we talking about No Wings, or are we talking about Don't Care? Because Don't Care, I only say one thing in that song, and I say I. Because John actually he's like the MC on that song.
Okay.
So if you're talking about...
No, I was actually, and maybe it's just the way that I heard it, I assumed it was you, so thank you for correcting me. I know John is in it, but I hear your voice in it, so I guess maybe it's just how it translated to me. But that's it. That's an interesting dynamic, that it really is more reflective of the other end of it.
Yeah, so this song is mostly led by, if not all, led by John. John would be the lead singer on this one, on Don't Care, and Tyler and I do the backup in the chorus.
Yeah, it's a really fun song.
It's fun
we all get to participate vocally at little moments here or there. But yeah, we actually called the song for a little while "Ragey" because we definitely thought it had some Rage Against the Machine vibes.
Well, I mean, it has that raw edge to it, and it's not heavily overproduced. It stands well as just, what I would call a power track. It just comes up and it just, it smacks you with it. But it's authentic, at least within the energy, at least, I think maybe is a different way to put it. And yeah, I kind of, the way that I heard it, maybe it's my headphones. Maybe I need new fucking headphones, because I thought that was more Teresa than John.
You could be thinking of No Wings, though, because I know you have that track too.
Yeah, no, listen, I've been listening to enough of your tracks. I guess it's just the subtlety. Maybe it's just what I want to hear. You know what I mean? We do that. We do that to ourselves.
On the new album, we're going to have another song where John is heavily featured.
He is the lead singer on that one, or lead MC, right? Yeah, MC.
No, he sings in the bridge.
In the bridge, that bridge is so pretty. I can't wait for that one.
John has the voice of an angel.
Oh yeah, so
an angel with $50 bills.
That's right.
Yeah.
Call her Candy.
Various G-strings.
Call me Jonathan.
Jonathan.
I'm going to cue it up. I'm going to let folks check it out, and then we'll come back after, and we'll keep this spinning.
Okay,
sounds good. I'm done here.
So yes, that was a little bit of Hollowell's Don't Care. And you guys were saying before we cut to it, that's actually one of your older tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So is No Wings, but I think
I was going to say technically most of them are old. We just haven't we were playing a whole bunch, and then we were finally like had enough songs that we should just start recording them. And of course that process takes a while too. So
yeah. Well, then the mixing, and then the production, and the mastering. But in between those stages is like listening to each mix. Like, how does it sound in the car? How does it sound in my headphones? How does it sound in the speaker? How does it sound everywhere?
Yeah, the little nuances of mastering are always they're tricky, because you're right. Every different device will frame it differently. Your wife says, by the way, in the chat, put the album out already. Mind you, all caps explanation point. Like, she's not fucking around. She's like,
she still doesn't even have the old EP, and I've told her, like, I will give you the songs, and she doesn't want that. Like, she wants an album, and so.
But listen, no, she's not wrong. You know what I mean? Again, that's why, and here's another narrative. I've had a couple of emails from people asking me, why do I keep playing, the same bands and some of the same songs? And my answer is always the same, because this is how the internet works. This is how computer algorithms actually catalog and get people real exposure. They look for tags and keywords. They look for certain elements of things to repeat on different streams and different places. So I do it on the FM show. I do it on here, obviously, because that's the only way it gets outside of the box of our own friends list, if you dig what I'm saying. Right. So YouTube uses the same technology. Facebook uses the same technology. TikTok uses the same technology. Google uses the same technology. It's all the same underlying programming code. And we were talking a little bit about that beforehand. It's the same type of thing. People post stupid shit and then wonder why, Facebook or whatever, they just shut them down and put them in fucking jail. It's because they look for these particular keywords. They don't give a shit what the context is. You hit a particular keyword trigger, boom, that's it, you're done. It's not a real person there. It's a computer algorithm that's basically looking for triggers. So when you trigger the trigger, usually bad shit happens unless you work it. And that's the problem with social media. And I know, Teresa, you understand that because you're constantly doing that type of stuff. It's a numbers game. You have to put it out there repetitively. You have to keep sharing it. And again, you don't want to spam it, because if you go too far, then it shuts you down because it thinks that you're bullshit. It thinks that you're, some type of fucking spammer, hacker type of thing. And it's like, no, you have to go away. But especially within music, I'll keep playing them so that way all those algorithms pick up. They keep hearing these tracks, and then they put them into the other organic playlist and things. So it'll pop up over here. It'll pop up over there. It's the only way, I think, to really fight against the paywall systems, because not everybody's going to pay for, a Spotify service or an Apple Music or any of that type of shit. They just won't.
All right.
Yeah, I think for us, when it comes to taking a while to release too, it's, you have several things. We really want to put our all into actually releasing a finished product. You have to say definitively when something is finished, and that's a difficult thing as a musician, right? To say, hey, this is done, don't touch it. Mm-hmm. When you can go back and tweak it if you wanted to, but you have to be able to definitively make those decisions quick, and that's probably part of it. But I think we're gonna be probably releasing a few singles first from the album. I don't know how many at this point before we finish the whole thing. And again, that's just get the ball rolling as far as interest, right?
Yep. And we're also gonna do something new, which is we've got our music video, our No Wings, and we've got some lyric videos, but this time John is going to record us, and we're gonna actually have a music video. So we're going to be doing our own music video here soon.
Nice. Listen, I think you guys were dead on. Controlling as much of it as you can, and that's what I've been doing, and a bunch of other people that I know in different circles, be it rock or metal or alternative or whatever, are doing the same thing. Why waste the money on all these fucking ridiculous, overblown production elements? If you have good music, put a good story thing to it, if you're going to do a video or stuff, but keep it focused to what your message is, what it is, like you said, your creative process, because ultimately you're the one that has to live with it anyway, because it's a reflection of you. I mean, I struggle with the same thing. I keep going back and forth to it, but at some point you have to say, hey, as your wife says, she's like, I've been waiting for years. The fans demand it.
Yeah, us too. Hey, sure, we get to listen to our mixes and stuff, but yeah, we want it, and we're gonna get it, and it's happening.
Well, listen, as you guys are ready to do it, shoot them out to me. I'll get them on the station. I'll put them here on the podcast.
Thank you.
I'll keep putting that stuff out there, for whatever that's worth. And I've had a lot of people who've heard you guys through my circles and stuff that really have liked it. I'm hoping you're seeing, more people following, more people subscribing. By the way, you can find them on YouTube, social media, Facebook, all that stuff. Go give them a like, give them a share. Doesn't fucking cost you anything. Helps them out. By the way.
Yeah, thank you. We really appreciate you doing having us on, promoting us. It's interesting that even people are messaging you saying, like, why are you playing the same songs? Why are you playing the same bands, or whatever? And it's, as an artist, it's difficult to hear, because you realize people are never satisfied. And it's like, it feels that way sometimes, where it's like, oh, when are they going to, they just released this album, right? I've already listened to all the songs. When is their next one coming out?
Sure. Well, I mean, that's human nature, right?
TV shows, same thing. Like,
they want the next episode.
Yeah,
but listen, we also know that the way, especially with social media and the internet, it's really fucking ass backwards, because it's just a lot of spamming. It doesn't help any band to spam a playlist with 100 different fucking bands that nobody in their right mind is going to take the time to listen through. And if you look at all the likes and the shares, they're the people within the band. So they're basically just jerking each other off. Like, look at all the likes we got. Look at all the likes we got. And it's just like you're jerking off on each other. Nobody's coming out to the shows. It's not helping you. And all it does is it gets a bunch of attention for these so-called, DJs and promoters who are just basically spamming anyone that'll go on their page. They're like, hey, give me your music. I'll put it in. But nobody's actually listening to it. So how does that help the bands? You know what I mean? Like, what does that really do?
Even answer that question. It doesn't help.
Well, I mean, listen, you can use whatever creative language. I mean, this is your moment. If there was ever a time to take a shot across the bow, go for it.
Anyone?
Yeah, I got them.
Are we talking about promoters and DJs?
Yeah,
I mean, listen, we're just
DJ B.
But also the narrative of people,
same song over and over and over,
right? Or again, just spam it out there to the degree that who is going to, again, most people's attention span, they'll listen maybe to a track or two. But unless you, again, continue to reinforce a dynamic, you see where I'm going, how is anybody really going to know about it? Because, again, it's nice to have the likes and the shares and all that type of stuff, but if people aren't coming out to the shows,
exactly,
what is that really doing? Now, again, it's one thing if you're getting digital or online sales. Some of it is context, obviously, and what you're looking to accomplish. But you guys have all your music out there for free. You don't put it out there. And that was one of the things I really respected when I first, heard you guys. You guys were like, hey, here's our music. Here it is. Enjoy it. You know what I mean? That, a lot of people, a lot of musicians won't do that. They'll try and buy into, the whole, Spotify and, come over here and pay for
we're
it.
On those if you want to go.
Yeah, it's not like we're not on those.
But I never see you guys pushing that.
No, because it's unreasonable to think that we're gonna like be on this Spotify stream. Like you're paying us 0.003 cents a stream. We're not gonna make money on that,
right? Unless you're Taylor Swift.
You gotta get
like millions upon millions of streams.
So I mean, we kind of bowed out early on that.
Yeah, that's the illusion. They're selling you a packaged product. Everybody's like, hey, this is what you're supposed to listen to. So everybody's like, oh, okay, let's listen to Taylor Swift. Let's eat some Tide Pods, and we'll all die happily, together. And
both actually go hand.
This is not a knock on Taylor Swift. She's super talented. I will say that.
She's amazing.
But yeah, it's definitely like she's like that 1 in a million sort of
for real,
right?
Yeah.
But listen, even she has said herself that some of this is completely overblown. It really is.
Sure.
It's overblown. Yeah. Most people can't afford to pay that kind of money to go to those types of shows. You know what I mean? And, she's a little bit different.
Got a lot of overhead, man.
Yeah. Well, listen, most of the bigger bands are all saying that, the days of these big tours are coming to an end. You know what I mean? They're just not cost effective. People don't.
I don't know. I think we're giving T Swift too much the benefit of the doubt here. I mean, she definitely knows how much money she's raking in herself.
You're like, fuck that bitch.
I mean, she's got dads and moms bringing their kids to fucking drive-in movie theaters to see her on a big screen. They're not even there, and they're paying like top dollar just to see her on a fucking projected screen.
Yeah. I know plenty of people
she's a fucking money maker.
Yeah.
She isn't like, oh, I wish I could make my shows less money because I know it'd be better for the world. I know it would. She's fucking a money maker.
Well,
she's got the fucking G-string with the pink 50s up in it. I'm telling you right now.
Listen, she's not as bad as some of these other ones. Like, listen, and I've made a running joke of this. You actually have performers like Iggy Azalea that are basically they're funneling their music through their OnlyFans site. So it's just basically like, hey,
oh wow,
come look at my ass and download my new track, and it's just like, whoa.
Now we're gonna show you what "don't care" really means on OnlyFans.
But listen, I think it would be a great narrative to go completely.
To get Hollowell OnlyFans?
Right. Yeah. And it would just be John, you know what I mean? And it would just be me. Right. And you completely blow people away with it. And they just,
literally,
yeah. Well, I mean, the internet, you're only so much is capable, but, again, you can segue these things. But you guys, again, all joking aside, you haven't used any of those variables. You guys have just, again, been very organic, very humble about it. You really enjoy what you do. You're engaged, not only with yourselves, because here's the other side of it. I haven't seen any element of ego between the three of you. I mean, obviously you have pride in what you do and your lives and the people around you, but it isn't that overblown sense of, well, I'm better than you, so therefore, really, again, just very humble in your interactions, like, hey, how can we help? We like to be a part of it. There's not as much as we need of that out there within the music scenes, because a lot of it is just really, again, ego and money driven.
We're a community. You're not going to get anywhere by just being that diva, right? I mean, there's definitely some people that do that for sure, but I never ever want to be the one of those bands that comes off as who wants to book a bunch of divas, right?
Right.
Yeah, you basically want to, be like Motley Crue and sound like utter shit out there while charging people, $350 for a bleeder nose seat.
Right, or telling people that before you get there, you expect like only brown M&Ms. Like, I don't want any other M&M. Only brown M&Ms, or I'm not playing this fucking show.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, listen, some of it is also, I mean, I guess it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Rock and roll, unfortunately, has always had, the darker edge to it, depending upon what angle you were looking for it, back, when I was first getting into really performing and stuff, everybody was spinning about heavy metal. Ozzy was the devil, and, guys were dressing up, in glam and basically just, doing their things. I was on the other end of, the spectrum. Like, it was funny for us coming up, there were two camps. You had like the Kiss and the glam rock end, and then you had like the harder rock, like, Iron Maiden and, Ozzy and stuff like that. So it was just like these two distinct worlds of rock and roll. And now, some 40 years later down, it's just all just kind of fucking crisscrossed and morphed into, something else. I had a couple of friends that, went to see some of these, older refurbed bands, and they were absolute fucking shit shows. You know what I mean? It's just like, and I had Doug Mack on last night on the radio show, and he was talking. Axl Rose just absolutely sounds like fucking shit. Like somebody needs.
I heard that.
Yeah, somebody just needs to team say, hey, listen, man, find a new key to sing in, or do something. But it isn't fair. It isn't fair to people to say, hey, come out here for this, but you're really going to get that. You know what I mean?
So I hope I'm not. I don't want to think about like me getting to a point where like can't be a musician anymore because it's so much of who I am.
When do you reach the point where you pass the torch? Like if you genuinely care,
you make that sort of money.
Well, but also listen, there's the narrative. Like if he were doing charity shows, I'd be like, you know what? All right, that's cool. Because here's the other flip side of the coin. I interviewed Doug Gray from Marshall Tucker Band. That motherfucker is 75 years old and is still out touring on a bus, okay, with the band, doing shows. And he's doing shows with bands like Green Day. Like, he doesn't care. He loves all kinds of music. But he refuses to do the big arena bullshit things because he doesn't want to rip people off. He's like, I refuse. And he was blunt about it when I interviewed him. He's like, I'm not going to charge people that kind of money, so we won't play those shows.
If you want to get real for a minute, a lot of that the arena stuff is those venues are controlled because they make contracts with Ticketmaster. Right. Ticketmaster is the biggest problem when it comes to bands not being able to have affordable tickets. Because you can watch. There's even a whole John Oliver episode about it.
Oh, listen, I'm 100% with you, man. I've been dealing with this from both ends of the spectrum. Not only as a musician, but producing events and doing a lot of stuff within the nonprofits, for autism or veterans and things like that. And it's absolutely fucking ridiculous. The pay to play model has become so warped that you literally have some of these characters that come out there and rake up a bunch of money with, these gullible bands that'll pay thousands of dollars to get on some bullshit, quote unquote, headliner tour. It's just like, hi, I'm Jeff Tate. I haven't been relevant in years, but pay me $3,000 and you can open up for me because nobody's going to come fucking see me anyway. And that's
the pay to play thing.
And that's what's happening out there.
Yeah. There's not a fan. We've encountered such scenarios before where it's a lot of pay to play. We expect you to, pre-sale a certain amount. And it's like, I get it. You want to get people in the door. But on the other hand, like, it feels like.
Listen, there has to be a realistic balance. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you look at a narrative, again, with how people now deal with getting their music. Okay. People don't want to pay ridiculous money to be, half a mile away when they can go home and just pop it on their Amazon and dance naked in their fucking house. You see where I'm going? So,
amazing.
Or just, the beauty of a backyard party where, it's not about money. It's not about ego. It's about everybody getting together, having a great time. And those are usually some of the best shows that you will ever find are these smaller venue, more, intimate, quote unquote, scenarios where there isn't any of that fronting or any of those other, side distractions and things like that. And people enjoy them more. And it is the wheel is coming back around. People are doing more of like these types of shows, comedy and music, or the outdoor festivals, like again, the Fringe Festival or the Lilac Festival, or any number of analogies. And they're not doing, these bigger overproduced shows. They're just not. And the numbers prove it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of bitching and complaining that's been going on, the primary media rags that, will be like, well, Blabbermouth said this, that, the other thing. And it's just like, well, that's why they're fucking Blabbermouth. You know what I mean? It just doesn't really mean anything to most musicians that are out there, be it a cover band or like what you guys do or what I do, it has no real relevance because it doesn't apply. We're doing shows at the House of Guitars or the Bug Jar, you know what I mean? The Iron Smoke Distillery, places that are really part of the community structure here. Don't get me wrong. It'd be nice to be able, to get to Blue Cross Arena and, get fucking 10,000 people to, really get together and have a blast. But the logistics and the liability and the money and shit makes it almost impossible to happen these days.
Yeah. I mean, it all depends on what the goal is. And I don't know if I speak for myself or if I speak for these guys as well, but we didn't get into music for the money. I mean, there's no real much to say.
Now, listen, it's beautifully said. You can't look at it that way. You're going to be sorely disappointed.
Called a starving artist for a reason.
The money we do make goes into a band fund, and we don't even talk about it. And we've been building this fucking fund for 10 years. I don't even know how.
And it pretty much just goes back into, it's to go towards more stuff for the band.
And then we all pay out of pocket for all of ourselves. Everything we do is mostly out of pocket.
It's all of our we have jobs, right?
Yeah.
So music is not our job. It's our part-time fun gig that we don't get paid, but sometimes we get paid.
But we wish it would be our job because that'd be great.
It would be cool if it was our job.
It would, but actually,
listen, we all know the trade-offs that come with that. As soon as you really start going down that rabbit hole, now you've got people who got expectations. They want you to sound a particular way. You have to now sell X amount of albums, X amount of seats.
Sounds like a job.
But listen, again, it takes away from the natural element of it. And, you see it repeated time and time again. It destroys bands. It destroys musicians.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
You know what I mean? And, I'll use the analogy like the Beatles. The Beatles started off playing shitty clubs in Germany and then just became international stars. And they did some shows and, the technology just wasn't there. They couldn't even fucking hear themselves playing anymore. They're like, fuck this. We don't want to do this anymore. We got families. We got kids. We just want to go in the studio and create. And some of their best music was created in just that simple process of them just being allowed to do whatever it is that they wanted to fucking do. Now you cut to now, and they basically bastardized some old fucking tapes that they found, patched it together, and then threw it out there and be like, "Hey, here's a new Beatles tune."
I didn't hate it. I will admit, I didn't hate it, but it definitely was
it's not the fucking Beatles, bro. I went off on a rant.
No, I'm 100% with you. I get it, but yeah.
If it doesn't have Yoko in it, I'm not listening.
Well, but again,
on that
this is the running joke. Doug and I hit that last night. I think the only reason it happened is because Yoko just wanted some more fucking money. That's what all this was. It was a money grab. I would have been a lot better if they were like, hey, this is an old unreleased John Lennon tune. Or they could have even said, because I thought it sounded more like the Traveling Wilburys than anything else. Like I didn't, again, get any real Beatles vibe off of it. You know what I mean? You can hear John Lennon's voice, but it's not the fucking Beatles. And to release it as the last Beatles tune, I mean, it's so pretentious and just such used car salesmen. To just squeeze a couple of dollars out of their corpses.
If Paul, my only thought is that now that we have AI, that maybe Paul thought it would be really cool because it did come from an old tape of John Lennon performing the song. And so maybe now the AI is like a big thing. He's like, oh, we can put out this one last Beatles tune. I get maybe he might have had that sentiment, but I agree with you. It didn't turn out.
Listen, Lennon is rolling in his fucking grave because the time period that demo tape was taken from, he wanted nothing to do with anything that was even closely related to the fucking Beatles. He was doing completely different stuff. He was very outspoken about it. It's like, hey, listen, the Beatles were then, I am me now. And this is what I'm doing. So you can hear the absolute difference. It's nothing at all, again, even closely resembling a Beatles tune. And then
they threw
a little bit of George, like they just sprinkled a little bit of George in there. It's like, okay, let's give 12 seconds to George Harrison. Okay, we hit that. And it was just like, really? I mean, it was just so one-dimensional. And again, it's not that it's a bad track, but it really, it just, I don't think it deserves... It
lacks inspiration.
Yeah. And it doesn't sound... It doesn't sound authentic, you know. And I heard it before I knew how they made it. You know what I mean? I had gotten a pre-release on it and stuff like that, and they had put it out there without any of the real info about how this one was actually born originally. And, you know, again, I was just like, okay, this sounded like, you know, maybe some old, you know, outtake, you know, Lennon stuff, you know, all right. And then they released it as a fucking Beatles track, which just like, whoa. But they kept that shit under lids, you know what I mean? And I think they did it on purpose because, I mean, they don't even own the fucking rights to their music anymore. So you have to imagine, again, that there's a suit somewhere that was just like, hey, let's squeeze one more out of the fucking box, you know, before none of them are left fucking alive.
Probably, but I will say Paul is one of those artists that is old, but he's still got a good voice. Keep going strong, man.
I love him as a musician. I don't understand the narrative to want to go down this road. Like, I can't imagine either one of them needing the fucking money. Like, again, if they had done this and said, hey, listen, all the proceeds are going to go to a charity or anything at all, that at least separated it out of just like, again, a corporate money grab.
Well, I do have one request.
If
you can get like a Yoko soundbite on your board. That would be amazing.
I love John Lennon, but I do not understand his like wanting to put her in any track. I'm like, ugh.
Oh, so you guys have obviously listened some of the Plastic Ono Band stuff and some of that experimental music that she was doing with them.
I'm probably the only one.
I will full-heartedly admit I do not like the Beatles. I think they're overrated. I'm just going to say that live on this podcast. So I want to know how John feels about it.
That's an honest opinion.
I don't want to be overly critical, but
no, listen, we like what we like. There's nothing wrong with it.
Me and Dave Matthews Band. Like,
don't you dare say that about things. No, I get that too. I mean, I fully understand.
He's an incredible.
Listen, I there's certain artists I always like to go after. Like I go after Cardi B and like, Britney Spears.
You don't want that WAP?
Right. And especially with like the Britney Spears stuff. She's such an absolute fucking lunatic. It's just like, leave Britney alone. I see that fucking meme, that breakdown that went fucking viral some years ago, and I'm just like,
which one? There's like,
well, yeah, there's a lot of them, right?
Yeah, she's got like a knife one that was like a meme, and then the shaved head.
I'm gonna join John with this bashing old bands that I don't like. I never liked the Rolling Stones.
Listen.
Oh man, how dare you?
I don't know. I like there's certain tracks that are okay, but like I just can't get into it. I don't know why.
Pretty sure we just lost a few fans.
I know we just lost.
Listen, but this is the honest truth. And the nature of music, it's based on taste. So not everybody's going to like everything, and we can make jokes about it. And again, full disclosure, again, we're not making fun of people's mental traumas and breakdowns or whatever that they're dancing and stuff. But when you put that shit out publicly, and when you make a living off of said public image, as far as I'm concerned, you fucking asked for it. You know what I mean? If you don't want it, don't put it out there. Stay the fuck home. Right? It's just and it's the same concept. If you don't like something, don't listen to it. Change the fucking station. That's fine. That's honest. You know what I mean?
We're an acquired taste as well. Like, I don't expect everybody to like us. I don't expect anybody to like us. I just like us. We make music that we like to listen to, and that's why we do this. We didn't get into it for money. We didn't get into it to be famous. We did it because we like to do it. And I was telling John earlier, like, I do this. This is what I use to cope with just life in general and express some things that are lingering, And
let's not forget that we like each other.
Yeah.
Or else we do.
Well, you kind of have to be able to make this work. I mean, ultimately, that is the beginning and the end of it, right?
like here's the guitar. Oh, he's really good. Okay, let's just play music together. Like it's just not like that. We're not like hired musicians out.
Right.
Like we're friends. We're musicians. We enjoy each other's company. We have a great time together.
I've been in those situations where you're in bands with people that are just because they're talented, but it doesn't work out.
Talk about divas too.
Then you start like, you know.
What do you mean you don't know any music theory?
You don't know theory?
What do you mean? How do you play a fucking instrument?
I use an old Frank Zappa joke when I run into those things, because I came up literally. I learned to play by ear. I had musical training on other instruments. I was blessed and lucky that I had the gift, and my mother encouraged it. But as a guitar player, all of that started from literally following older guitar players around and watching them and copying them and just picking up pieces there and listening to other albums and playing along with them. So it was all very organic. There was no tablature. There was none of that shit. It just, you had to learn how to fucking play, or that was that. Or there was that deeper technical theory thing. And Frank Zappa had a running joke because he was just so all over the place with his stylizations. He's just like, listen, when you get confronted with that, just tell them you're playing in the key of Z.
Nice.
Yeah. And, obviously the Z being Zappa, because he made a whole style element out of not being locked into a fucking style. You know what I mean?
He just did it himself. I mean, every track is out there, different. That's cool. I mean, I dig it.
But yeah, the theory sometimes gets lost in the mix because, again, it becomes now static. It becomes something that doesn't, I think at least, it doesn't have heart. It doesn't have energy. You know what I mean? It's the same thing when you overproduce something to such a degree that you have so much going on. It's just like, well, there's no coherent point to really focus on. It's like getting caught in an avalanche. It's like 1 minute you're at the top of the mountain, the next minute you're on the bottom with your legs broken, and you're just like, how the fuck did I end up here?
So I'm the oddball in the group, and actually like grew up like playing classical music and stuff, and I know theory and all that.
You sick fuck.
I know, right? but the one thing that I've definitely grown from is that, like, it is, if you can learn it, it is a great tool, but you also have to learn how to just let go of that.
Yeah.
Let go of these notes don't go together. Right. That sort of thing.
And so I'm working backwards.
That's not
right. You mentioned that on Judah's show that you're actually starting, Teresa, to explore a little bit more of the theory end, just to give you, an expanded set of tools, I guess would be the best way to say it, in how you write and how you perform.
Yeah, I mean, music is a language that I just never learned how to read. So I know how to speak it, but I just don't know how to read it. So I'm basically just learning how to read it and then apply it. I found it. I just kind of think of it like that. And when you teach your kid how to speak the language you speak, you don't teach them how to speak and write at the same time.
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do it. So you got to let the person learn the language, let them learn how to speak, let them learn how to use the language first, and then develop how to write it. Because it doesn't happen. My daughter's 5. She's just learning, how to write words together. She knows how to do her name. So now she's knows how to do that. And she's recognizing letters now that go together. Like, no, easy stuff,
But it's still, it's part of the perspective of the process, because it's different for everybody.
Yeah. So for me, I did similar to you. I mean, just in a different time. I had a radio in my room, and if my favorite song would come on, I'd grab my guitar and I would listen to the song and try to find the notes and be like, okay. And then I'd sort of learn the progression of the song. And then that's sort of how I learned how to play guitars, just fully by ear, full experimentation. No, like Tyler said, like, well, these go in this key, and so these always have to go together, or these progressions have to go in this order, So I never had any of that. So I'm kind of working backwards, where I'm trying to utilize the ear and then see where some of my stuff comes from, but also be able to branch off of that. where I've sort of plateaued in my
Nicely
playing.
said, yeah. Because listen, I mean, again, the theory is great, but if you don't have an ear, the theory doesn't really fucking make a difference, unfortunately. You know what I mean? I think we've all encountered and heard those dynamics where it's just like, wow, do you actually hear yourself? Do you know what I mean? And the brain kind of just wonders. You see that a lot with singers. Like there's nothing, you know, it's like a bad karaoke night. You know, somebody gets up there and it's just like, it's obvious they can't hear wherever it is that they're supposed to be, but they're really into it. You know what I mean? They're singing their hearts out, and it's a fucking train wreck, you know, and I've heard guitar players do it. You know what I mean? We famously at one point when we first started the band, we were dealing with a drummer that had a problem counting. You know what I mean? And you want to talk about the kiss of fucking death. It's just like, how can you be a drummer and not fucking count, man? It's just like,
yeah, man.
You know, it's like,
to make it great.
You know, I want to give everybody the fair shake, but it's like, you got to go back and figure out the basic fucking numbers, dude. Then come back and talk to me about, you know, theory or this or that. And well, you know, John Bonham did it. Well, you know, fucking John Bonham's dead. See how that worked out for him. Go learn how to fucking count. And it's just, it's amazing that, you know, sometimes it doesn't translate. People don't really see it. They don't hear it, or, you know, maybe I guess to some degrees they don't want to, but you guys hit on it also too, that you take a lot of pride in what you're doing. You're not just going to float shit out there for the sake of just floating it out there just so you can say, hey, here's something else.
Yeah.
And I also don't believe him that John Bonham didn't know how to count.
Well, listen, I'm sure when he was fucked up, you know what I mean? Some of it probably just became muscle memory instinct.
Yeah, this is instinct for sure.
Right.
I mean, we all listen. As a drummer, I am not sitting down there while I'm playing, going 1, 2, 3, 4 in my head. Are you kidding me? It's a joke.
But obviously, you know how to fucking count. You understand the dynamic that if you have to wait 4 beats to come in, most of us can get to 4 and know that that's where we're supposed to come in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just the subtleties of those things where you're just like, come on, man, really?
It just sounds like bad energy mixture. Like, because the three of us,
like
the three of us, like, we sort of almost in a way we're just working together and relying on each other, that we're all confident in our parts, and then we just sort of flow together. Obviously, unless we're recording and we're playing to a metronome, and then everybody, you know, we're all standardized.
It feels like, just using the language analogy, it's like we've developed our own dialect together.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Right?
We know,
yeah, for sure,
where we're going and what we're trying to do at all times when we're writing music together.
Yeah, that's totally correct. We have our own
I love that.
ways of talking about things. For sure.
And just to touch base on Teresa's experience, you know, getting back into learning theory, I've noticed in her writing and how she plays guitar, it's made a difference. Like, she's been writing more and more elaborate parts, and it's really cool just to see how she's progressed and developed as a musician in the length of time that I've known her. And it's inspired me to want to go back and also investigate that myself. So it's really cool to be a part of that and see her grow and continue to want to grow and develop, not just get stagnant and stay where she is, but want to.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you challenge each other within that dynamic, and obviously the one thing, again, you can't bullshit your way through, you can't pretend on it. Chemistry. You guys legitimately respect, you care about each other, you enjoy the dynamics that you have, so it creates an organic, natural conduit for all the rest of it to come together. And then, you know, using the recipe analogy, you create what it is that you create, and then you're like, hey, here, taste this, serve it up. You know, we like it. We hope you like it too.
Yeah, I mean, by now we're starting to become mind readers.
It's fun.
Like, we're just jamming on a track the other day, and Teresa played this little bitty thing, and I was like, that was cool. And then as soon as I pointed it out, John was like, yeah, that part. And then we had Teresa play it again, and then John and I, for some reason, just already knew immediately what parts we would play over the top, that sort of thing. Yeah, you start to get into mind reading mentality, which is really cool. Yeah. It's not something that you're going to experience with Joe Schmo off the street.
No way.
You know,
and it's very obvious when we interrupt that process. with getting in our heads and trying to force what comes next.
Yeah.
Because it just turns to shit. It's like, well, I don't fucking know where to go now. You know, because you're too thinking about it too hard.
You can't force creativity.
Yeah.
No, you cannot. That's absolutely true. And some of it is just catching those moments. You know what I mean? Somebody, like you said, they'll pick up on a vibe, a particular lick, and then, you know, the good chemistry analogy allows you to be able to, using the language, you can translate that. And you're like, okay, I know where she's going, and you guys can fall together. And that's really, you know, the creative process. That's what it is. I mean, there are different words, obviously, you can interchange it, but it really is that collaborative process of working from each other's energy, the language that you've created between each other, and then obviously the things that influence you, that inspire you, you know, be it a moment or something greater in a dynamic, something that speaks to something, or to use this to cue up the final track that we're going to do before you guys dip out. Tell us a little bit about where No Wings was born from.
Man. So it's sort of, I guess it's just taking some of the words from it. You know, I fly with no wings and I die 1,000 times. It's just sort of kind of talking about how as people we sort of shed our skin and we continue to evolve, and if you're aware enough, you can become a better version of you. And also it talks, kind of touches on essentially drug use. And, you know, back in the day, I use drugs, I use alcohol. I don't do that anymore, and kids make that really fucking easy. And that song was sort of inspired by that. You know, all of us, and even myself most recently, have been affected by losing somebody that you care about or you love or your family member to an overdose. And that was sort of one of them too, talking about, you know, dying and moving on.
We all know it. It's a fucking plague that has been within our communities now for a few generations. And it's simply the narrative that people are pretty much left to have to find ways to self-medicate through, you know, traumas or disconnect or whatever the fuck it is that's got them wrong. And it's just, they're symptoms. They're reflective of the inner whatever, you know what I mean? Because everybody's scenario is different. What drives people to certain things. I danced it many years ago, and pretty much like you, my son literally shifted the dynamic. When I had this child now, I was a single parent. I had this little kid now I had to take care of. I was lucky that I had a couple of years under my belt being clean, but it made me realize that this isn't just about me anymore.
Right.
You have to change your perspective. You have to change your approach to it. But the underlying traumas and the experiences and the things that made us do those things, they're still there. They don't necessarily just fucking go away and just be like, oh, well, you know, we'll move on now. You know, we can work through them and we can obviously get past them to certain degrees, but they are proverbially the scars that we carry from life. So, I mean, I give you credit for that, because, you know, most people, again, they'll avoid that little particular end of the angle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I saw a really good visual that kind of goes with what you were just saying. I think it was talking more about therapy, but how it had a visual of a person kind of carrying a huge bag. So, you know, their baggage, right? And they're walking through with this giant bag. And then the next scene is the same person walking through with the giant bag, and that bag has holes poked in it, and you can sort of see the demons or the traumas of the person, and that they're trying to escape the bag. And then the next final scene is that same person hand in hand with the demons, and there's no more bag anymore, and they're walking together.
Well, listen,
so
it's a great analogy, right? Because the simple truth is we have to learn to walk within the darkness and the shadows, because it's all around us. A lot of times it's not even our own fucking baggage that we're dealing with. It's somebody else's that's carried over like collateral damage, not unlike when a grenade fucking blows off. The grenade doesn't give a shit who you are, your sexuality, your politics, your religion. It's like, hi, I'm a grenade. I'm going to fuck everything up. You know, and that's what ends up happening. We tend to get caught in those things, and now we have this collateral aspect that we have to carry forward. And the more that you have in the bag, the harder it is to drag it fucking behind you. And then it obviously leads into other things. There's so many different levels of it. But I think it's indicative of the human element, because addiction, I think, is natural. We like what we like. So if you like chocolate, maybe you'll eat too much chocolate. Smoking crack. I mean, they're all the same thing. Too much of anything is fucking bad. And especially, obviously, in the narrative, if you're using it to compensate or escape or get around something else, it becomes even more problematic, because by its very definition, it's an illusion. It's not real. You're just kind of avoiding it for the moment, but it always comes fucking back around. Do you mind me asking, what was the turning point for you, the bottom moment, as I always like to refer to it, that really shifted? Was it literally becoming a parent, or was it something else before that particular transition?
So I had gotten myself in quite a bit of trouble in my late teens, early 20s with drinking and drugs. So I was sort of forced into getting clean by the court, through all the bullshit I did and put myself through, and my family at that time. And I had to get clean, going on probation now, you got to get clean, blah, blah, blah. So I ended up going all the way in, though. So at that point, I remember calling my mom in jail and being like, don't come and pick me up. Leave me here. And she was like, as a mom, you can't do that. So she's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, no, leave me here. I need to learn my lesson. Because at that point, I had enough. I had just gotten myself in so much trouble. And I just was like, I'm going to keep doing this if I don't fucking deal with the consequence. So I'd gotten myself clean, and I think I did almost 5 years of not drinking or doing drugs. And then, how it sneaks up on you, and it's like, hey, you can have one.
Yeah.
You can have one. Look at how good you did. You did
It'll
so
be
good.
fine, right?
So, and I was in the trades, and everybody's drinking. So I was like, yeah, let's go out. Let's go have drinks after work. Let's go, enjoy ourselves. And so you start to buy into the sort of people that you're around, right? You're like your top 10 closest people. That's the accumulation of all those people is sort of what you're like. And so I'm around these people all the time, and everybody's doing, drinking and smoking and whatever. And so you either do it or you don't. And so I did, and I drank with them, and I was fine for a while. And I remember when I had a couple of my friends over from the trades, and we all had a great time, great fun party, or at least I thought, until the next morning I see a picture of myself pass the fuck out in my kitchen floor. I don't remember that. I woke up on the couch.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember any of it, and I hated it. And you just can't be a hungover parent. You just can't do it. And I didn't want to do it. And so I just realized that was enough.
Good for you. I mean, you found your path. Listen, that is the only real truth in it, is everybody's journey and it is unique to them. There is no exact way or that way or anything besides getting to the point where you make that cognitive connection that, okay, for me, this doesn't fucking work. Like, I've been very vocal and public about it. I come from a long line of alcoholics. When I drank, I was fucking dangerous. I thought that, it gave me the justification to, kind of literally live out my Batman fantasies and go hunt down fucking evil. Hey, it's justified because they're assholes. Look at what they're doing. And the alcohol, it poisons you. That is the simple truth. It's a poison. I don't begrudge other people. I understand, hey, it's part of our culture. But just like anything else, we need to have more honest conversations about it. So I really do appreciate you.
I wish I could. I wish I could just enjoy a drink, but I could, right? Once, twice, maybe 50 times. But eventually it's going to fuck my life up. And that's just for me.
Yeah.
So most people don't have a problem.
Narrative. Right. There are other things we can find to enjoy. A lot of this is, again, reinforced from conditioning. Let me ask you, you grew up in it probably like I did, so it was just normal. That's what you saw everybody else doing, so that's what you do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. My mom was a bartender. There's always, parties and people are drinking, and my family, definitely alcoholics on both sides of the family. So yeah, it's there, the genetics there. So yeah, it doesn't help. Definitely doesn't help to have it in your genes already. I mean, I would argue that
I think it's even more so. It's learned behavior. When you're exposed to things, it doesn't matter, again, what a child, because you said it very well, a child doesn't have any real way to separate it and process it like we do now as adults. So it just becomes a reflective model, just like you repeat what you heard somebody playing on the guitar, or you imitate what somebody draws, or any of those types of things. You see people drinking and you just begin to adopt the narrative that this is, and especially if you look at it culturally, you know what I mean, it's fucking everywhere. Hey, have a Budweiser. Hey, it's the Dos Equis, man. It's just like, hey, you know what I mean, everywhere. So, when you don't do it, you almost kind of become, like a pariah, like a fucking leper, like, oh, what's wrong with you? You don't drink.
I will say, yeah. Well, so what do you drink? Like, then what do you want, like, water? Yeah, sure. The people forget that
I use comedy with it. I'm like, no, you don't want to do that, because, the wolf in me will literally go American Werewolf London on your ass, and you'll probably will not go home tonight. So you drink that drink for me. Everybody has a great time, and nobody has to die. I think that's a win-win scenario right there.
Yeah, I just can't. Right now, I just can't. Who knows? Maybe when the kids are older or something and I'm retired, maybe I can. But it's just not right now.
Good for you. All. Plus, I think John will do the extra drinking for you, it sounds like.
John's got me. John and Tyler both.
I got her covered. We're good. I'll take care of her drinks she can't have.
Yeah.
There you go. See, that's what friends do. They look out for each other.
Right.
We poison ourselves for people we care about. You know?
Well, you do it professionally, too.
One way or another, right?
I do it. Yeah, I do it professionally.
Right. You do it for a good cause.
I do.
Right.
I do.
Listen, is there anything else you guys want to shout out before we're going to do No Wings, and then I'm going to do a couple of the other band artists? I mean, you guys are welcome to hang in the shadows in the chat and stuff like that, but I don't want to spin you guys out too deep. You're going to come back, like I said, later in the week. We're going to do the sanitized conversation for the radio station, which I think, listen, we'll talk about the comedy and the show, because I think, again, obviously in the dynamic of whatever local people that we can draw into, to really just say, hey, listen, this is a great concept. It's a Tuesday night. Come on out, have some comedy, have a show over at the Iron Smoke. I mean, again, what the fuck, and besides my podcast, what else would be going on a Tuesday night? And if I cancel it, then there's nowhere else and nothing for anybody else to do. So they have to go to your show, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the Beatles are going to release a new song.
If you don't come out, the Beatles are releasing a new AI song.
Oh, God. So listen.
So is Rolling Stones.
Right.
So as long as it's not a Bon Jovi song, see that's how, like, I guess how you feel about.
Okay, then they're releasing a Bon Jovi.
Yeah, no.
You gotta come out, or otherwise they're releasing all those songs.
No, listen, I again, like I said, I am officially going to, like I said, I'm not going to do the podcast December 5th. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to drag some of our characters from the radio station, and
please do. Yeah, we're excited to have you guys there.
Listen, you know a bunch of them, the same people that were there at the House of Guitars last month.
Right.
So, I think we keep that circle going. We build on it. We expand on it. And we'll talk a little bit more, like I said, for the Monday night show. But thank you for sharing that story with No Wings. I really do appreciate that. I think it's important that people can see that there are ways back from that type of stuff. Because a lot of people struggle with this, and they don't know how to talk about it. They feel insecure. They feel like that somehow it just makes them a lesser human being. And the truth is, we all go through it to different degrees. It's just not everybody's fucking honest about it.
Or people don't have the ability to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what? There is some of that. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people just don't have.
They just don't know how to even articulate it.
I think that's something we'll have to have another. We'll have to have you guys come back on early 2024, especially when you get some of the new releases. I would definitely like to, and one of the things I haven't been able to, just logistically and timing, but if you have some contacts into the comedy world, I would love to have some local, comedians come on, the podcast at some time and, literally have a comedic podcast, you know what I mean? That could be, part skit, part, organic. But I think that that's, again, truly a great concept, a great idea. So in promoting the circles and stuff, send them down and I'll bring them out and, we'll keep pushing and promoting the stuff that's going on and keep building it, right? What else can we do?
Thank you, Wolf. Yeah. I mean, if you want to bump elbows with me December 5th at Iron Smoke Distillery, you can meet some of those comedians that might.
Yeah, there you go. That sounds like the plan then. Then we'll take it from that frame.
6:30. Doors are at 6:30 that night.
Cool.
So that'll be awesome.
Yep.
And then I'll be yep.
What was it? You're going to be what?
No, go ahead.
No, listen, it's your show. I'm just here for fucking.
Yeah, I'm just here for fucking.
Yeah, I'm just here for fucking, man. That's
Why
it.
we all,
I was gonna say, yeah, that's gonna be an awesome show, and then a week and 2 days later, I'll be at Photo City opening up for the Shopcats, which I think they were just on Judah's show.
Yes, they were on Sunday. Very cool.
They played full band. It was so dope because we definitely want to get in there and do full band live because John and I actually did that acoustically when we went in.
Yeah, some of this now is expanding upon the abilities. Ed and I are actually building a fucking studio at his place in his basement.
Oh, no kidding.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, it's so tight at the radio station, and to be really blunt and honest, the radio station, because of all the different shows and everything, the timing is not always really good to get some of the stuff. So having a separate production studio where, again, theoretically, a band can come down, we can record them, get good quality, and then be able to rebroadcast it. We can't do that at the station. It's literally, it's got to be there in that particular show and that particular block, or you can't be done. Both Ed and I do a lot of other production stuff. I have a small home studio, so this was just the natural expansion on, not only doing the podcast. Ed's going to bring a little bit more of a fucked up version of his show. He wants to do a podcast. He's getting a little frustrated not being able to channel his inner Jersey and use the language that he's comfortable with. And it's not, we still believe and we're going to still keep working and doing the stuff for the radio station. But, I started the podcast well before I got involved with the radio station, and I continue it for that very reason. I don't want to be so restricted that I can't have conversations about things because of some outdated, bullshit narrative that says, you can't use these words or talk about these things because somebody somewhere might be offended. It's like somebody somewhere is always fucking offended. Like, who are we kidding? You know what I mean?
You're offending me right now.
I'm triggered.
I just want you to know I'm offended.
Listen, that's just me. I'm obscene and I take pride in it. And, I try to find the balance. Like I will tell people in advance, say, listen, if this type of thing triggers you, I get it. I'm not offended. But in the same element, if I warn you and I tell you and you stick around and then you're going to complain afterwards, then I'm just like, no, now you're going to become the fucking joke. Because you had the opportunity. You see where I'm going? People sometimes like the negative dynamic. They want to hate. They want to find something to point the finger at. They want to be, you got tattoos, or you look like this, or you dress like this, or you talk like this. My God has a bigger dick than your God, or whatever the fucking stupidity is in the moment. And some of it, and we joked about this when we were at the show, we have to be able to talk about it honestly. It's the only way it fucking changes. If we pretend like it's not there, guess what? It's not going to go away. I don't think it will.
I'm offended that you're offended.
I just can't get.
You guys are just so offended. You got no fucking reply. I'm like, wow, am I really having a rant with myself again? We were talking about that. It's just like, listen, I talk to myself. I openly.
Last Supper was literally.
Yeah.
The Last Supper, you know what I'm saying?
It was the Last Supper.
Yeah, but I mean, how many silver coins did it actually really cost us in the process?
Well, quite a few.
It's just like, you're offending my God. And I'm like, your God is not here now.
He's watching. He's watching.
That's like out of Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, there's a lot of great narratives in it. You know, some of this, again, is just obviously the politics of fear, when you can keep people spun out on shit and get them believing in, you know, the boogeyman hiding under the fucking bed. And, you know,
Hey, I was raised that way. It's probably...
So was I. Listen, I've written songs about that deep fucking trauma. Believe me, I know.
Yeah, I was raised Catholic, so there you have it.
Oh, did you get the whole Latin Mass like I did?
Not the Latin Mass, but I definitely got the.
You see, you got Catholic Light then. You got the less calories version.
Yeah, Catholic Light. It was heavy enough.
Oh, that shit's terrifying. Don't even get me started. We'll be here till fucking tomorrow if you open that particular little door. I've had a whole lot to say. Again, I do not begrudge anybody's spirituality. I have friends that belong to different faiths, and the people who legitimately live their lives, you know, AKA, you know, if you're gonna front as a Christian or Catholic, you had really better not be fronting, you know, fucking Nazi shit, or, you know, pointing your fingers at lepers and whores and just going completely contrary to the word, if you see where I'm going. But,
I do. It sounds like you've read the Bible yourself.
Yeah, well, I listen, I went through the whole ritual thing. I was, you know, the firstborn son of a firstborn son, you know, onward white Christian soldier. You know the narrative, you know, that grooming starts real fucking early. You know what I mean? Does. And it is unfortunately reflective of a lot of outdated shit. But the common theme always is, again, the fear. It is the fear factor. You know, you make people afraid. You're going to go to hell. If you touch yourself, you're going to go blind. You know what I mean? If you eat meat on Friday, somebody's going to jam a pineapple up your ass. You know what I mean? And it's just all these horror stories on top of horror stories to basically get you to act like a fucking drone. It's just like, be the good robot, follow the line, don't question, just do. And that worked great for the Roman Empire because that's how they maintained the fucking empire. But,
that's right.
You know, Rome didn't last. So what does that really tell us? It don't work.
Nothing lasts forever.
Well, it doesn't work. It's an old narrative. And the craziest thing, I've done a lot of research over the years because I couldn't accept the fact that I was the only one who saw it this way. So I went looking, I went digging into other cultures, other religions, and it's the same fucking narrative through time. It's like every fucking civilization took the last civilization shit, repurposed it, put new faces, names, and characters in, and then fucking sold it as the new fucking religion. And that's what we've done. That's what the human species has done from, you know, the fucking cave all the way through to, you know, the modern Vatican, you know, Christianity. You know, you look at it, you know, historically, you know, England, you know, Henry VIII was basically like, I don't like my wife. She won't give me a son. I want to fuck somebody else. Hello, Church of England. I'll just start my own fucking church.
You know, I found out recently I'm related to St. John Fisher, guy who's up there. Yeah. Found out recently. My mom told me. I don't know. You know, I was kicked out of the Catholic Church. I don't know why. When I turned 18, they kicked me out. I don't know why.
Nobody gave you I know exactly why I got.
What does that sound like?
It's because I was an adult.
Ayo.
All right. You went to one of those Father Flanagan jokes. That's where you were going. Okay. Yeah, I was all being serious. Like, I know why I got kicked out, because I wouldn't indoctrinate my son. My son, when he was born, was a firstborn son, and I was like, fuck you. I'm not passing this fucking bullshit down another generation. It ends with me. So my father and his brothers and that whole end of the family just literally lost their minds. You know, I mean, I was like, you know, I was literally Judas. I was just like, you have betrayed the Christ. And I was like, good. I'm glad. I own that shit for what it was. And listen, my kid, I got to be honest with you, he's more grounded and more tolerant and more loving than most of the people that I have encountered that have been that deep into at least the Roman Catholic and the deep Latin end of it. It's so fucking broken and just so steeped in misogyny and just all kinds of insane, really deep, insane shit.
I live in a good time because I think in any of those other times I probably would have been killed.
You would have been, you would have been burnt right there and been like, take her out, burn her.
She doesn't listen.
But listen, but that's the framework of the narrative. That's why I think to some degrees that things have kind of been a little bit sideways, because you have the new trying to really take its place over the old broken, models of things that we know don't work. You know what I mean? Again, it's nothing to do with faith, but when you have elements of things, and obviously when they're weaponized, when people are arguing about, who has the right to bomb the other side, we have a fucking problem. It's just like, why are we bombing anybody at all? But we can't have that conversation because one side or the other will start to lose their minds. One end of it, you're a terrorist, or the other end of it, you're a fucking anti-Semite. And it's just like, can I just not want anybody to fucking die? Like, we can't have that real narrative. And then, you have one, end of it where, when we decided to throw a tea party, we were freedom fighters, and the Native Americans are sitting back and going like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, you all just came here, wiped us out, took our shit, and then made yourselves fucking heroes. But we'll point the finger and be like, hey, you have to live like this. And if you don't, we're going to drop bombs on you. So then we won't have this conversation again. George Carlin had a great skit back in the day, and he used to do the college tours. And that's really where his material, I think, was reborn, because he kind of was part of the old early 60s type of comedy that was a little bit more, proper. We'll tell fart jokes, but we won't go anywhere near anything social. And then he just woke up and he just realized, since this is all bullshit, nobody wants to talk about it. So he started going to the colleges, and they fucking loved him. And he just became famous in the latter part of his life simply because he went out there and just started talking openly about how he felt. Most of those comedy skits were basically his shit in his head, kind of like what you were saying, Teresa, with the music. He was just working through the shit that he saw around him. And not only did people find it funny, but they found it entertaining. So he built on it. And most of it was based around, elements of language and the illusions and, all the other, crap that, gets shoveled at us. And, now, I think we need voices like that more than anything else. Again, not to be redundant, that's why I love the idea of the music and the comedy. You know what I mean? Because comedy, it's the only way that you can cut through some of the ugliness too. You have to, because you can't really put the ugliness in music, and the music tends to become ugly then. But comedy can take it and repurpose it, make it into something at least a little less shitty.
Yeah. So hopefully these comedians can make our music a little less shitty.
Well, listen, that wasn't a reflection of your fucking music.
No, I'm just being a goof because
I'll use an analogy like the Sex Pistols. Some of their tracks were just basically verbal diarrhea, which just them fucking drunk, just fucking bitching about some perceived element of this, that, or the other thing. But they bought it up because that was the punk scene then, and just like, okay, well, yeah, I guess I feel this way, but. They didn't like each other. They didn't know what they were doing half the time. And it ended up in a complete, absolute shit show, tragedy type of thing. So sometimes music reflects, the worst shit. I use that analogy with like a Cardi B. It's just like, music has become wet pussy. Like, how did that fucking happen? You know what I mean? I understand there's always been elements of sex and, the subtleties of it. But somewhere along the line, some of this, I think, at least personally, went, really sideways in it. Don't get me wrong, creative expression is creative expression, but,
But how creative is being literal, though? I don't know.
I guess some of it goes back to perspective and taste, because some of this becomes the illusion, because these aren't just music acts, they're full on production aspects. You see where I'm going? So they're creating a whole vibe, this whole canvas of how things look, and this somehow will make you more attractive. This makes you better. You know what I mean? And
what is crazy, but that shit sells, man. I don't even know if any sort of music endeavor I would ever get into could ever sell as much as just that one song. So it worked and it got everybody talking, and you know what I mean? And
well, it's the difference between somebody who just wants a track for enjoyment versus actually being enveloped.
Listen, I can pretty much guarantee you, if you guys show up December 5th and John just steps up on the stage and pulls a live chicken out of his ass, it's going to get people talking. You know what I mean? People are going to go online, they're going to check you out, but it's not. Is it really the type of attention that, I mean, at least for you guys, would you guys want? I mean, John, would you want that kind of attention?
First of all, that'd be really impressive to see a live chicken come out.
I mean, this close.
Is it a chick or is it
Thanksgiving?
a full
I definitely want a full fucking turkey coming out of my ass.
Keep it in the spirit of the season.
Full spread, Jeff.
See, now you could probably get some sponsorship out of Palmer's or something. Be like, hey, Palmer's, throw us some money. We'll promote. I'll pull one of your turkeys out of my ass. Be, hey, look at this great tasty turkey. Go down to Palmer's and get one. It's a win-win situation, right?
Hollowell after
we're pulling
hours.
Turkeys out of the base's ass. This is what we're doing.
It's a promotion for Thanksgiving.
There's a whole new talent coming to bases everywhere, and it's who can pull the biggest bird out of their fucking asshole.
See, this is comedy, folks, for those of you. I know somebody somewhere is they're typing something to PETA right now and said they're pulling chickens out of people's asses.
We need to get there.
We need to save them. We need to save them. So yeah, PETA, you need to show up December 5th at Iron Smoke to make sure that John doesn't.
Throw tomato soup. Throw tomato soup on everyone. We'll bring pieces of art so you can throw tomato soup.
Pieces of art, right? And we're and listen. Ultimately, what we really need to do, we need Yoko Ono to come down and explain herself. I think that
Please
has to
just
be.
get a soundbite of Yoko. Play her in my honor.
That's right. Actually, I'm sorry. Hollowell isn't performing. It's just Yoko Ono screaming into a fucking microphone the whole night. That's it. That's all we got. That was it. I'm sorry.
Yoko.
The truth
No,
is
listen. I think it would actually be much better if you put her on stage with a bag on her head and just let her shit into a bucket, and then you have the bucket mic from different angles, and you can run it through the lights and the reverbs and stuff, so you could get kind of that. You could get that EDM vibe going, and everybody will just boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? See that now? That would be a show worth seeing, wouldn't it? We can all agree on that much, at least.
Hey, we got real there for a minute. And then we got not real. We got real too.
Well, listen, but that's magic. Listen, to be able to take something and to slide into the dynamics, because there's some truth in it, because what we're really talking about to many degrees is how a lot of what is put out there as art is really just literally a bucket of shit that somebody has convinced other people. Say, hey, look at this. This is really cool. This it's like the old Monty Python skit with the dead parrot. And the guy's like, this fucking thing's dead. It's like, no, it's not. It's just resting. It's a fucking dead bird. No, it's just taking a nap. You see where I'm going? And we have that pushed out so much that, again, a lot of people just become fucking apathetic. That's why some certain, I think, genre swings, like when the punk scene first came out, and then you had the grunge scene, and you had the neo kind of progressive metal, and you guys were talking about earlier, how do you really put a label on some of the stuff that you guys do, because it has so many different influences. But we can safely say that it's not a bucket of shit. That much, at least, that's doing better.
You go to shit.
Play a game.
We can't breathe over here, man. I'm still dying.
Is this? We should play a game, a trivia. Is this the Beatles playing "Here Comes the Sun" or is it Yoko Ono?
Shit in a bucket. No, you know what would be better? You know what? My buddy Doug would say, what would we do? We'd play some of the live recorded tracks from Axl Rhodes' latest fucking shitstorm, and then see if you can distinguish it from Yoko shitting into a bucket. So it'll be kind of, and what I would like to see the scientific process. I would like to see both of those tracks run through auto-tune to see how the AI actually interprets it. You know what I mean? Because
right,
I'm sure there'd be some interesting knowledge to be gained from that. You know, the correlations between, you know, the human mind and literal shit. You know, and it's literally translated. God, this was great. Listen, you guys definitely going to have to come back. We got to do this again. I will definitely, you know, short of, you know, some act of some random fucking God that I don't believe in anyway, we'll definitely be out there December 5th. You guys will be on Monday night. Music Magic Show, WRFZ, Rochester Free Radio. So we'll continue. Listen, the hard part's going to be for that show is we're going to have to play nice. We're all gonna have to put on our adult hats, and
I'm gonna put a Yoko bucket on stage.
There's no hard part.
I'm gonna bring my own bleep button.
Only hard part would be,
well, listen, the beautiful thing about that is we'll be able to go back and, you know, I'll just, you know, randomly
emotional, damn it,
you know, and then everybody will know that was the part that, you know, obviously they weren't supposed to hear, and then they can just make whatever they will. See, that's the beauty about imagination. You know, we can talk about Yoko Ono and defecating in a bucket. That's allowed. Those words pass the smell test with the FCC. But if it's Yoko Ono shitting in a bucket, then they'll probably lose their fucking minds. Now, if we go even further deeper, if it's Yoko Ono fucking a bucket while simultaneously shitting into said bucket, well, then all bets are off, and I'll never probably be broadcasting live on FM radio. You know what I mean? That'll be the end of my career. But listen, as you said, what would be a better way to go? You know, I could see the headlines. Local DJ, you know, discovers lost footage of, you know, fucking Yoko Ono shitting in a bucket. And God, could you imagine that?
Is that how we know we made it?
That's how we made it.
That's the real lost. That's the lost Beatles song.
Moment.
That's how they found us. They found us. They're like, who the fuck is this Hollowell band? Oh, they were in that podcast. So I could.
After we get off this show, we're gonna call Yoko right now. We're gonna make this happen.
Just want to know how much money it pays.
Yeah. Listen, I don't know what her service fees are, but she can. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we can all chip in for the bucket, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm willing to do that.
I got buckets. We're covering the bucket.
So free.
So listen,
we'll even take you out to dinner the night before just to make sure it's a good one. You know?
Yeah, Taco Bell.
People are going to go back and say, listen, the least disturbing thing that we did was Louis C.K. pulling his dick out. It went sideways long past that.
Well, I mean, it is after 10. It's after hours.
Yeah, well, listen, out here, like, the internet is the Wild West, you know what I mean? Nobody, you know, there's just no restrictions. We all know this. You know, people do absolute insane shit. So, you know, the standard is literally, you know, you have to kill somebody online or just go so far off the deep end, or basically, you know, talk about Hunter Biden's dick, you know what I mean? You do that on Facebook, for whatever reason, Facebook loses its mind. But, you know, some of the other stuff, it's like, okay, we can promote misogyny and domestic violence, and you hear all these fucking knuckleheads just spewing their hateful shit. It's like, well, that's okay because they have to have, you know, they have their First Amendment rights that we have to protect. But, you know, you post a picture of, you know, Chris Christie floating in a balloon in a Speedo. All of a sudden, you're on the FBI watch list, and literally, I know somebody that actually happened to. He posted fucking Chris Christie in a Speedo, okay, and he got a fucking call from one of the fucking Homeland Security things in Jersey, basically, you know, them wanting to check out to make sure he wasn't just, you know, some crazed lunatic. He's like, I posted a fucking joke meme. The fuck are you talking about? And it really happened. And we were just like, wow, man, they really are a little edgy about some of that. But listen, some of it is really crazy. You know, people just, you know, they talk insane shit. And then all of a sudden, some little lunatic goes into a school and blows a bunch of people away, and then everybody acts fucking surprised. And it's like, well, he's been posting bullshit for 2.5 fucking years about how he was going to do it. You know what I mean? And everybody's like, well, we didn't know. It's like, sure,
we would have never thought.
Right. It's like, what do you mean?
Such a nice boy.
Know?
He has such a nice smile.
He was such a good boy.
Oh, the ones I love. You remember the character, that the kid from college that raped all those girls, and then they were complaining about, oh, we don't want to ruin his life, he's a young man and stuff. And there were these Facebook memes about, hey, this is Brad. Brad is a rapist. Make sure that, and they just started to go fucking viral everywhere. And I was like, yes, that was the birth of the cancel culture thing, I think. It just, people just got so disgusted with people getting away with shit that other people were just like, well, you know what I mean? You're not going to get away with that. It's like, have you guys seen Inglourious Bastards? Any of you Quentin Tarantino fans?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. The scene in Inglourious Bastards where basically Brad Pitt's character is basically like, listen, we like our Nazis out and up in the front. So he made sure every one of those fuckers, he carved a little swastika literally and scarred them. So you weren't going home and going to put on the shiny suit and pretend like, hey, because this is what you are. So I always love that analogy about, sometimes you got to call shit out for the type of shitty behavior that people do. And then, some people are like, oh, we don't want to be canceled. It's like, well, then don't pull your dick out in public, man. Then you don't have to worry about getting fucking canceled.
I want to do what I want.
Well, I mean, some of it's entitlement, just like, well, it's my dick.
Exactly. It's just, anyways, but,
yes, it's sideways now.
We're all the way sideways. We could go upside down, but
no, see, that's probably not good because there's still buckets of shit from Yoko Ono, and one of those gets kicked over, somebody slides in it, and it's gonna go really bad.
We don't want to hit you.
Yeah, no, listen. I mean, again, these are all great ideas. In all seriousness, everybody who is listening out there, who's within any vicinity of Rochester, New York, Tuesday, December 5th, 6:30. The Iron Smoke Distillery. It's going to be Hollowell, and the Inner Loop blog featured comics. Shane Allen, Izzy, Benjamin Wolf. It looks like Sherelle Kinder, Caleb J. Goldberg, and Rachel Days.
Yep.
So we do the professional promo spot there.
I like it.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Listen, thank you guys again. I'm going to close out
your...
Oh, listen, it was a blast. We're going to do it again.
Thank you.
I will see you, obviously, in a couple of weeks over at Iron Smoke, and then we'll do a follow-up maybe the week or so afterwards of the show, just to let everybody know about the good time that they didn't get to have.
Or they did.
Well, listen, if they're there, they won't need me to fucking recap it.
Right.
It'll be for the people who unfortunately missed out of it. I think if we bring some video footage of it, listen, if we get Yoko Ono shitting in a bucket on video, I think that will be worth its weight in gold.
Yoko, come to our show.
Yeah, that's my goal. Okay. And worst case scenario. Listen, I have the alternative. Okay. We chip in, we get John a Yoko Ono mask costume.
Okay.
And then he shits in the bucket. And then we just fucking deep fake it and put it out there like on The Onion. Yoko Ono shows up at local show, shits in the bucket, calls it art.
I'm a dead ringer for Yoko, so it'll work out perfectly.
I say we do it. I say we push the fucking envelope. What are they going to do?
Nothing. I mean, they'll take
the bucket of shit away from us.
They'll take the bucket.
That's right. Yeah. They'll walk out with their shit. She'll be like, no, you cannot use my shit. They'll take it away and be like, okay, fine, it's your shit. It's yours now. It's a win-win scenario.
Remix of Paperback Writer, except it's JB shitting in a bucket. Shitting in a bucket. Shitting in a bucket.
Shitting in. This has been great. All right. Before literally you make me shit myself on my own show, we're going to close it out with No Wings, and then I'll be back to close out the show with a couple of the other artists. I got a new track from Ayla Huff. I've got a track from Alloy Rain, who performed last weekend at the Rockin' Oddities. Really great guys from up in the Albany scene. Definite metal guys. And Teresa, you've seen, I think you saw the video I played from Brick by Brick, the fucking insane metal murdering Muppets thing.
I think I might have seen it.
All right. Well, definitely stick around and check it. These guys produced this fucking insane video. You know, it's a deep metal track. You know, it's you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what they did, it's so fucking hysterical, man. You'll see it. Listen, I mean, it's not as good as Yoko shitting in a bucket, but it's
a solid second.
It's disturbing.
It's a solid number 2.
Teresa gets the win to close it out. So yes, this is your guy's track, No Wings. and listen, we're just going to qualify. No Wings has no shit. Okay. Right. So this is the end of the shitty end of this show. Everything else from here is shit free. Thank you guys again. And listen, I'm looking forward to it. We'll talk obviously in a couple of days when we do the radio show. Let's get all the shit out of the way now. Hey, you guys want to get one final fuck out of the way?
Thank you very fucking much.
Thank you very fucking much.
You're fucking awesome.
All right. We're gone, as they say, and I'll be back afterwards, like I said, with a little bit of some other local music. Hollowell, No Wings.
They don't condone. Now I know
Hey, pal, what's in the basket? The hunter. All right, weirdo. You're out of here.
Thank you very much. We're Brick by Brick from Albany, New York. We like shots. Bring us some whiskey. Bar is open over at the merch table. Give us your money.
All right, guys, let's go. Let's pack this shit up.
Not me. I'll meet you out there. I got to pinch one off.
Yeah, me too.
No, come on. Pack up. Let's go.
December.
yeah, that was a little Alloy Rain and their track Krampus. And before that, Brick by Brick, The Hunted. Very, very cool bands. A little harder, little bit more on that cutting edge. But really great guys. It was a pleasure hanging out with all of them. The Rockin' Oddities event was a lot of fun. Hats off again to my sister Jem for making it all happen. Love you, sister, truly. So I'm going to close out tonight. This is one of the dynamics, and I do apologize. I will not be able to get to some Frail tonight. Just things got sideways and, some shit happened. But I've always made it a point that what I do here, I try not to limit to as best as I can. But sometimes, it is what it is. So I'm going to close out tonight with my sister Ayla Huff and the track of hers. It's a new track. She's got a new EP coming out. Little something different. But sister's got a beautiful voice and she's got a beautiful heart. And she's getting back to it. So until next time, try and hang in there. We're going to have Doug MacDonald, Art for Sickos. And he's going to come out and we're going to talk about some of that crazy stuff. Follow up from our radio show. And again, conversely, Hollowell's going to be on the radio show for a little bit different conversation. But again, my sister Ayla Huff, a.k.a. Me, Myself, and I, and a little thing called Fatal Devotion. Until next time.